Chapter 564. My Village, Naruto Building. 3 generations put aside the pipe in his mouth and glanced at Hyojin, Guy, and Jishuei, who were standing in front of the desk, and said in a gentle tone, "I hope you can understand the matter regarding the Umbu's transfer." Although they moved away from the Naruto office on the 3rd floor, 3 generations still worked in the Naruto building as the village's advisor elder. On the contrary, as the acting Naruto, Danzo did not move into the Naruto office, but moved his office to the underground fortress of the original root base. But this is understandable, because Danzo not only had a large number of Sharingan transplanted into his body, but also the flesh and blood of Hashirama. Not to mention the Dojutsu Kekkai Genkai. Even the average perception-type ninja can easily perceive the chaotic chakra in his body, so his body can't be exposed to the public at all. Every time Danzo appears in public, he has to apply a temporary seal on his body in order to conceal the chaotic chakra fluctuations in his body, as well as to shield himself from the prying eyes of the village's Dojutsu Kekkai Genkai. So his public exposure didn't increase much, even though he became the acting Naruto, Kekkai Genkai. On Hyojin's side, in the face of the 3 generations' personal comfort, the 3 of them expressed their understanding. Then, Guy eagerly asked the 3 generations, do you have any arrangement for us? Suddenly being idle makes me feel uncomfortable. Don't worry, the village will not let you excellent ninjas stay idle." After teasing Guy, the 3 generations looked at Jishuei and asked, "I heard that your Uchiha clan's rescue team encountered the Akatsuki members and even rescued the 2 children, Sasuke and Ningxi." Jishuei nodded and reported, "Well, the rescue team coincidentally encountered the people sent by the Akatsuki to exchange hostages with the Orochimaru, and fortunately rescued Sasuke and Ningxi. After Sasuke was kidnapped, the Uchiha clan formed a rescue team to search for Sasuke's whereabouts, and the so-called luck this time is naturally a tacit understanding between the Akatsuki, Hyojin, and Itachi. In order to appease Hyojin and Itachi, and let them feel at ease to inquire about the Akatsuki's whereabouts, the Akatsuki deliberately carried out a transfer of hostages and leaked the transfer route to Itachi, letting Itachi use the name of the Uchiha rescue team to rescue Sasuke and Ningxi, fulfilling the Akatsuki's promise to the 2 informants. 3 generations gently nodded. "The children have been rescued. I am also relieved." Jishuei quickly said, "I made you worry." 3 generations picked up the pipe and took a puff, then slowly said, "The ninja school has been rebuilt. I am going to arrange for the 3 of you to go to the ninja school." Hyojin's expression changed when he heard this, and instantly guessed the thoughts of 3 generations. Hyojin, Guy, and Jishuei are all jonin who once served as Umbu squad leaders, and, on the surface, Jishuei is the owner of the Manjikyu Sharingan, a Kage-level expert. 3 generations arranged for these 3 elites to go to the ninja school, obviously not only for teaching, but also to protect the 9-Tails Jinchuriki Naruto, who is about to enter the ninja school. After all, the current shinobi world is much more complicated and dangerous than the original shinobi world. And 3 generations took advantage of the time when the Danzo purged the Umbu to transfer the original Umbu members to the ninja school to strengthen their control over the ninja school, which can be regarded as a good move. One must know that the abduction of the children of Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke, and Ningxi had a great negative impact on the 3 generations, and even directly led to the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan to give up their support to the 3 generations, so the 3 generations also learned this lesson. After all, among the new students, in addition to the children of Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke, and Ningxi, there are also the 2nd generations of the shinobi clan, including the 3 clans of Ino Shikacho clan, Yomi clan, Inazuka clan, and so on. Therefore, the ninja school will become the top priority of the village, and there is no room for error. The ninja school currently lacks a headmaster. Which one of you is willing to serve as the headmaster? As soon as he finished speaking, 3 generations inadvertently glanced at Jishuei. In his heart, he actually wanted Jishuei to be the headmaster of this ninja school, because in the catastrophe that night, Jishuei showed great combat power faintly reaching the level of being able to intervene in the battle between the two leaders of Amatsukami and Akatsuki. Moreover, Jishui also protected the unconscious 4 generations Mizukage, Yagura, and Hachibi's Jinchuriki. At the moment when the 3 generations are gradually aging, Jishui can be regarded as one of the strongest people in the village, and with him in charge of the ninja school, he can ensure the safety of the ninja school. In addition, with Danzo ascending to the position of Naruto, it can be foreseen that the relationship between the village and the Uchiha clan will inevitably deteriorate in the future. So putting Jishui as the headmaster of the ninja school can also have the effect of appeasing the Uchiha clan. However, to the surprise of 3 generations, as soon as he finished speaking, both Jishui and Guy looked at Hyojin, who was standing in the middle. 3 generations quickly restrained the surprise on his face, smiled, and asked Hyojin, "Kuroto, are you willing to serve as the headmaster of the ninja school?" After a little hesitation, Hyojin nodded. "I am willing. Working in the ninja school, there is no need to run around for tasks. Not to mention the relatively leisure time, but also close contact with the 2 saviors, Naruto and Sasuke. In addition, the headmaster of the ninja school belongs to the top level, second only to the advisory elders, so he can directly participate in the high-level meetings of the My Clan. The way to obtain information is even easier than the original Umbu squad leader, so Hyojin agreed. 3 generations immediately said to Jishui and Guy, "You two will be stationed in the ninja school as senior teachers and assist Kuroto in managing the school." "Yes." Jishui and Guy responded in unison. 3 generations then handed a document to Hyojin and said, "Because of the previous catastrophe, the ninja school was destroyed and the teaching progress was delayed for several months. Therefore, after the reconstruction, the advisory group decided to merge the 2 sessions into one and rehold an entrance ceremony. Therefore, the number of students enrolled this time will be far more than the previous sessions. You have to pay more attention to it." Hyojin took the material and flipped it. Although the entrance ceremony was held in Ningxi's batch, the village was attacked on the same day, and the ninja school was completely destroyed in the catastrophe. Therefore, the students of Ningxi's batch did not formally enter the ninja school to study, and several months were wasted. Now that the ninja school was rebuilt, the village decided to merge Ningxi's batch with the next one, and then rehold a grand entrance ceremony. Chapter 565. Glancing at the list of students marked with the words "Focus on," Hyojin found that Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, Uchiha Sasuke, Nara Shikamaru, Akito Choji, Yamanaka Ino, Inazukiya, Shino Otomo, and other second-generation ninjas are all on the list. Hey, Hyojin chuckled and put away the materials. Even in a ninja school, there is no complete sense of equality. Students with family backgrounds will naturally receive extra attention and care. On this point, even Sandaime-sama, who has always advocated the will of fire, is no exception. Seeing Hyojin read the materials, 3 generations said in a deep voice, "The goal of the Akatsuki organization is the tailed beast inside the Jinchuriki. So in the ninja school, the 3 of you must ensure the safety of Naruto and must not let the enemy capture him again." "Yes." The 3 of them responded in unison. The 3 generations nodded with satisfaction. "Go and prepare. The entrance ceremony will be held in 3 days. At that time, several elders of the village will be present." Hyojin promised, "Please rest assured, I will arrange the entrance ceremony properly." After leaving the Naruto building, Hyojin thought for a while and immediately sent Jishui and Guy to prepare for the entrance ceremony 3 days later, while he himself went to the Hyuga clan. In the previous catastrophe, the Hyuga clan was completely destroyed, but fortunately, the Hyuga clan is a millennium-old clan, and they quickly rebuilt the clan. Passing through the brand-new street, Hyojin greeted his fellow clansmen while walking slowly to the Hyuga clan's mansion. Not long after, Hyojin met with Patriarch Hayashi. First, he congratulated Hinata on his safe return, and then Hyojin briefly mentioned to Hayashi that he had just become the headmaster of the ninja school. That's great. Learning that Hyojin became the headmaster of the ninja school, Hayashi suddenly became happy. The ninja school is at the same administrative level as the My Hospital, intelligence class, enchantment class, and other departments, and in terms of influence, the ninja school is better than other departments of the same level. Now that Hyojin has become the headmaster of the ninja school, it means that the influence of the Hyuga clan in the village will be greatly increased. In addition, after Hyojin became the headmaster of the ninja school, he can participate in the high-level meetings of Mai as the highest person in charge of the ninja school. In this way, the number of representatives of the Hyuga clan who can speak in the high-level meeting of the village has reached 2, surpassing the Uchiha clan, which is also a Dojutsu Kekkei clan. He is also a pitiful person. Looking at the overjoyed Hayashi, Hyojin sighed in his heart because he could feel the pressure that Hayashi, as the head of the family, was shouldering. Whether it is in the shinobi world or in the Konoha village, with the emergence of Uchiha with Manjiki Sharingan, the Uchiha clan has also become more and more powerful, and the Hyuga Uchiha clan and the Uchiha clan have become one of the 2 most powerful Dojutsu bloodline clans in the Konoha village. Not to mention Patriarch Hayashi. Even the ordinary Hyuga clansmen have vaguely felt the strange gazes of others in their daily lives and heard the sarcasm and ridicule of the Hyuga clansmen, such as exaggerating and only showing off. In fact, as long as the Hyuga clan is not compared to the Uchiha clan, it is still a respectable shinobi clan. But the problem is that in the past 1,000 years, the Hyuga clan has always been on the same level as the Uchiha clan. Even if the Hyuga clan is not as powerful as the Uchiha clan, the 2 sides are still at the same level. But now, especially in the last 100 years, the Hyuga clan has not produced any amazing geniuses, and with the recent turbulence in the shinobi world, the Uchiha clan has become more and more active, and the weakness of the Hyuga clan is particularly obvious. After Hayashi calmed down, Hyojin said, "Patriarch, I would like to consult the ancient books of the Hyuga clan, can I?" Hayashi's eyes narrowed, showing a bit of doubt. However, with the current status of Hyojin, even if it is just out of curiosity, Hayashi has no reason to object. So he replied, "Well, of course, I will arrange someone to take you to the newly built secret vault." Hyojin smiled and nodded. In addition to informing Hayashi that he has become the headmaster of the ninja school, Hyojin's other purpose of visiting the Hyuga clan is to consult the ancient books of the Hyuga clan. In the previous war, the actions of the last descendant of Otsutsuki on the moon made Hyojin a little upset. According to Hyojin's vague impression, Otsutsuki samurai on the moon seemed to have contacted Hayashi privately before launching the world-destroying attack, so Hyojin does not rule out the possibility that the Hyuga clan knows that there is a close relative on the moon. Therefore, the ancient books of the Hyuga clan are likely to contain information about the Otsutsuki on the moon. At the same time, Hyojin also has the same doubts as Hayashi. That is why the Hyuga clan, which can be compared with the Uchiha clan in thousands of years of history, is getting weaker and weaker. One must know that because of the continuous reincarnation of Indra, every few decades, a strong Uchiha like Uchiha Madara or Uchiha Sasuke will appear in the Uchiha clan, and they will stand at the peak of the shinobi world. And the fact that the Hyuga clan was able to maintain the same echelon as the Uchiha clan for thousands of years, this alone shows that in the history of the Hyuga clan, there has definitely been a strong Hyuga whose strength is comparable to that of the Manjiki Sharingan Uchiha. And such a strong Hyuga clan should not be in the minority, or it should be said that there should be one every 1 or 2 generations. Only in this way, logically speaking, can the Hyuga clan barely maintain the same echelon as the Uchiha clan. Otherwise, with the current performance of the Hyuga clan, an Uchiha who can activate the Susanoo can almost sweep the entire Hyuga clan, because the current Hyuga clan has no means to break the Susanoo. With this kind of worrisome combat power in thousands of years of history, the Hyuga clan should have been left behind by the Uchiha clan long ago, and it is simply impossible for the Hyuga clan to have the same prestige as the Uchiha clan. So the question is, what exactly is the reason why the Hyuga clan is getting worse and worse from generation to generation? Is it some kind of lost skill? Or is there some other deeper reason? With such thoughts in mind, Hyojin came to the newly built secret vault in the mansion. The elder who guards the secret vault looked at Hyojin up and down, and immediately asked with a solemn face, "Hyojin, why do you want to check the family's ancient books?" Hyojin glanced at the elder lightly and said, "Do I need a reason to check the ancient books?" Choked by Hyojin's words, the elder frowned and said, "Go in, but don't forget your mission." Hyojin ignored the elder at the door and stepped into the secret vault. Chapter 566. Inside the Uchiha clan mansion. As the patriarch, Fuyua, sat in the middle of the hall with his arms crossed over his chest and a stern face, glancing at every Uchiha clansman in the hall who came to participate in the clan meeting with his majestic eyes. Because of the replacement of Naruto and a series of actions by Danzo in the village, the Uchiha clan temporarily held this clan meeting to discuss the strategy to deal with Danzo, the acting Naruto. Jishuei, who was originally preparing for the entrance ceremony in the ninja school, was hurriedly summoned back by the Uchiha clan. After a while, Fuyue's eyes swept across all the clansmen and finally fell on Jishuei's head and said in a deep voice, "Jishuei, I have received reliable news that you are one of the candidates for the new headmaster of the ninja school." After listening to Fuyue's words, the Uchiha clansmen in the hall were excited. Since the beginning of Naruto's rule, the Uchiha clan has been firmly confined to the police force. No matter how much credit they have, how much prestige they have, they can't touch other departments. Now that Jishuei has become one of the candidates for the headmaster of the ninja school, this undoubtedly shows that the Uchiha clan is breaking through the blockade of Naruto's bloodline, and their power has begun to extend to other departments of the village. Without waiting for Jishuei to answer, Fuyue continued, "Jishuei, the position of the headmaster of the ninja school, our Uchiha clan is determined to get it." Facing the eager eyes of the patriarch and the clansmen, Jishuei said with a little embarrassment, "I'm sorry, just now, the candidate for the headmaster has been decided. It is Hyojin Senpai of the Hyuga clan." "What?" Fuyue frowned when he heard this, and his eyes flashed with anger. "Hyuga clan? What qualifications do they have to compete with our Uchiha clan? Who do they think they are? Damn it, it's that Hyojin again. It's this Hyojin who defeated Shinichi and Swan, right? The higher-ups of the village must be deliberately suppressing our Uchiha. Otherwise, how could that Hyojin be qualified to compete with Jishuei? He can't even take one blow from Jishuei. Yeah, our Uchiha can't agree to this decision." In an instant, the hall fell into an uproar. The group of Uchiha was indignant. Seeing this, Jishuei hurriedly explained, "Please don't misunderstand me. I gave up this position on my own accord. It has nothing to do with Senpai Hyojin or the village's higher-ups." "Jishuei, you don't have to explain. Humph, do you think we will believe such words?" "Jishuei, don't speak for the village anymore." Knowing that Jishuei has always been on the side of the village, the Uchiha clansmen did not believe Jishuei's explanation at all. They all stubbornly believed that Jishuei was deliberately taking the blame on himself to dispel everyone's dissatisfaction with the village's higher-ups. Seeing this, Jishuei had no choice but to sit back helplessly. At this time, a radical Uchiha clansman said to Fuyua, "Patriarch, we must not accept this decision of the village. The headmaster of the ninja school should be our Uchiha." Another Uchiha clansman stood up and said, "Yes, this is what our Uchiha clan deserves. Now, our Uchiha clan has 6 pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan. The village should learn to respect us." Undoubtedly, this Uchiha clansman is the 2 Homasubi of the Kamikaze organization, the mysterious whirlpool masked man of the Akatsuki organization, Shinichi Uchiha, and Fuyue, and Jishuei. However, the Uchiha clansmen in the hall nodded in agreement and didn't seem to care about the fact that the 6 pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan belonged to 3 different factions. Fuyue, who had his hands crossed over his chest, also had a sullen face. His expression was very unhappy. The thought of a junior of the Hyuga family becoming a department head on the same level as him, the captain of the police force, made him very unhappy. In the corner, listening to the contempt and ridicule of the Hyuga clan, as well as the complaints and dissatisfaction with the village elders, Itachi's face showed a look of uneasiness. No one knows the true strength of the Hyuga clan better than him and Jishui. In his mind, the Byakugan Kekkei that can evolve into the Tenseigan is a powerful Kekkei that can rival the Rinnegan that has the title of Sage's Eye. The reason why the Uchiha clan can now proudly be called one of the two great Kekkei, is only because Hyojin, a true strong person, doesn't care about these empty titles. Looking at the people around him who are constantly clamoring, Itachi couldn't help but think about the expressions on their faces if they knew that 4 of the 6 pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan active in the shinobi world were actually Hyojin subordinates. Fortunately, Senior Jing is broad-minded and doesn't care about these things. Otherwise, thinking of this, while rejoicing, Itachi also felt a faint fear in his heart. At the same time, the short-sightedness and arrogance of the people of the Hyuga clan also made him feel extremely annoyed. In the noisy hall, Jishui and Itachi looked at each other at this time, and then showed a helpless expression at the same time. Compared with the fanatical and radical people of the Hyuga clan, the two of them seem so out of place. After the end of the clan meeting, Jishui and Itachi immediately left the hall together. It seems that they don't want to stay in this hall full of dissatisfaction and arrogance for a moment longer. After coming to a practice field next to the clan land, Itachi said to Jishui, "I asked Sasuke. When he fell into the hands of the Akatsuki, Shinichi has been taking care of him, and he also specially guided him to practice." Jishui was not surprised after listening to this, and said, "Shinichi is a spy placed in the Akatsuki by Kuroto-senpai. As long as the Akatsuki is destroyed in the future, he can return to the clan." Itachi nodded. "Well, there's also Yain-senpai. The clan needs more calm and wise people." Suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps interrupted the conversation between Jishui and Itachi. Then, a small figure passed through the grass and rushed to Itachi. Itachi held Sasuke, who was out of breath, and asked, "Sasuke, what's wrong?" After catching his breath, Sasuke pointed in the direction of the clan land and said eagerly, "Brother, many people went to the Hyuga clan together, saying that they want to teach Ningxi's sensei a lesson." Sasuke was actually not familiar with Hyojin, but because he had the experience of being kidnapped with Ningxi, he knew that Hyojin was Ningxi's sensei. In the mansion, after eavesdropping on the clansmen who attended the clan meeting clamoring to find trouble with Hyojin, out of the spirit of brotherhood with Ningxi, Sasuke immediately ran out of the clan land to find Itachi and Jishui. "What?" Jishui and Itachi were both shocked. Sasuke continued, "It's true, a total of 7 or 8 people went." Jishui frowned. "What nonsense!" Itachi, who had always been expressionless, showed a rare look of panic and asked, "Brother Jishui, what should we do now?" Jishui sighed helplessly. "Let's go and take a look. I hope we can stop them in time." Chapter 567. Inside the secret vault of the Hyuga clan's mansion. Sure enough, looking through the genealogy of the Hyuga clan, Hyojin found that during the Warring States period, there were a lot of marriage records between the Hyuga clan and the Kagaya clan, but most of the women of the Kagaya clan married into the Hyuga clan, and almost no women of the Hyuga clan married into the Kagaya clan. So there was no record of the Hyuga clan being the Kagaya clan. And from the few words in the genealogy, it can be clearly seen that the Hyuga clan and the Kagaya clan have a bloodline relationship, which should belong to the same ancestor. But with the establishment of Mai, Kirin, and other shinobi villages, the relationship between the Hyuga clan and the Kagaya clan quickly cooled down. Suddenly, Hyojin, who was reading the genealogy page by page, suddenly realized something. In the more than 900 years of history recorded in the genealogy, the population of the Hyuga clan has always been maintained in the numerical range of about 3,000 people, and in the chaotic Warring States period, this was the top and largest shinobi clan along with Senju and Uchiha. But for some reason, starting from 300 years ago, the population of the Hyuga clan began to decrease year by year. Today, including all the hidden members of the Hyuga clan, there are only about 700 people in the Hyuga clan, and most of them are old, weak, women, and children. In the long 300 years of change, the population of the Hyuga clan has decreased from 3,000 to 700, which may not be too noticeable, but in the 10 minutes that Hyojin flipped through the genealogy, the decrease in the number of the Hyuga clan year by year is particularly eye-catching in his eyes. Is it because of the war? Suijin muttered under his breath. War is the main culprit of the sharp decline in the population of many shinobi clans. Because of the several wars after the establishment of Mai, the huge Senju clan suffered heavy losses, and the population declined sharply, coupled with the policy of the first Sama to completely integrate the Senju clan into Mai's policy, leading to a large number of women of the Senju clan marrying ordinary villagers, further diluting the bloodline of the Senju clan, causing the Senju clan to only exist in name today. However, Hyojin quickly denied his speculation, because when he looked through the genealogy records, he discovered that apart from a few hundred clansmen mysteriously dying 300 years ago, there were no other records of a large number of clansmen dying within a short period of time. However, this is also a matter of course. Even in the war, the Hyuga clan mostly plays the role of reconnaissance and garrison. They are neither like the Senju clan who always takes the lead, nor are they as warlike as Uchiha. So the number of casualties is undoubtedly far lower than the average. It's not because of the war. There has never been a large-scale rebellion or internal strife in the family. Why is the family's population decreasing? Moreover, it's decreasing so smoothly that it doesn't attract any attention. It's as if there's a pair of hands controlling it in the dark. The doubts in Hyojin's heart grew stronger and stronger. In the cognition of ordinary people, the Hyuga clan is already the top clan of Mai, and the Uchiha clan, which is equally famous, seems to only have half of the population of the Hyuga clan. However, this view is just a misunderstanding by some people who don't understand the Uchiha clan. The real situation is that the number of ninjas in the Uchiha clan is indeed far less than that of the Hyuga clan, about half of the Hyuga clan, but the number of Uchiha clan is not less than that of the Hyuga clan. On the contrary, if you count all the clansmen, the Uchiha clan is far more than the Hyuga clan. However, most of the Uchiha clansmen have not awakened the Sharingan, nor do they have the qualifications to become ninjas. They're almost no different from ordinary villagers, so it seems that the number of Uchiha clan is less than that of the Hyuga clan. One must know that the area of the Uchiha clan is the largest among all the ninja clans in Mai, and it is far more than the other ninja clans. All kinds of shops are available inside, and it is almost self-sufficient. It is completely like a village within a village, but because the location is too remote in the corner of Mai, it doesn't look very eye-catching. The demise of Senju was caused by the decision of Hashirama. It was caused by human factors. And the Uchiha clan has experienced the departure of Uchiha Madara, the internal strife when developing as an Aji, and a large number of casualties in several wars. But the number of clansmen is still maintained at a normal value. On the contrary, the number of clansmen is slowly decreasing. This is too strange. The more Hyojin thought about it, the more strange he felt. At this time, he suddenly thought of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon. In his impression, when the Otsutsuki clan on the moon officially launched the rebellion, they already had the giant Tenseigan. Because of this, the Otsutsuki clan was almost unscathed on the battlefield of the decisive battle with the Hyuga clan. In other words, the Otsutsuki clan, which could transfer thousands of troops during the decisive battle, didn't suffer any losses at all. So there's a very strange problem. The Otsutsuki clan has a total population of nearly 10,000. On the moon, there is no foreign enemy. Why did only Otsutsuki samurai die for no reason? In a relative period of time, the total amount of chakra is fixed, so the Otsutsuki clan on the moon gathers the Byakugan of the deceased into the giant Tenseigan, which directly causes the giant Tenseigan to become stronger and stronger, and the chakra of the deceased converges into the giant Tenseigan. Naturally, the number of newborns is greatly reduced, so the giant Tenseigan suppresses the population of the Otsutsuki clan. the stronger the giant Tenseigan, the smaller the number of people in the Otsutsuki clan. In a trance, Hyojin had a bold guess in his mind. If my guess is correct, then Otsutsuki samurai can be born under the suppression of the giant Tenseigan. Doesn't it mean that he must have the qualifications to awaken the Tenseigan? Following this thought, Hyojin's eyes returned to the genealogy in his hand, and he wondered, then what is suppressing the population of the Hyuga clan? The population of the Hyuga clan in the shinobi world has been decreasing year by year. Although it is not as exaggerated as the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, it is indeed there. Unconsciously, Hyojin's eyes fell on the record of the bizarre death of hundreds of clansmen 300 years ago. Based on the style of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, after knowing that a large number of Byakugan can be used to create the giant Tenseigan, it is impossible for them to willingly dig out the Byakugan of their own clan. They will definitely use various means to plunder the Byakugan to create the giant Tenseigan. And the Hyuga clan in the shinobi world is obviously a good target. After all, in terms of physique and skills, the Otsutsuki clan, which has the inheritance of Otsutsuki Himura, is much stronger than the Hyuga clan, and the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan also meets the standard of creating the giant Tenseigan. Calculating the time, it seems to be 300 years ago, but I remember that the giant Tenseigan on the moon is made of the Byakugan of the Otsutsuki clan. The strange death of hundreds of clansmen in the genealogy, was it because the Otsutsuki clan plundered the Byakugan, or the Hyuga clan at that time, in order to protect themselves? Chapter 568. After knowing the history of the internal strife between the Otsutsuki clan and the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, Hyojin can almost conclude that the original intention of the Hyuga clan to develop the cage bird curse was to prevent the Otsutsuki clan from plundering the Byakuga clan on the moon. But there is a problem of time difference that cannot be ignored. Hyojin has studied the cage bird curse in private, and even he has to admit that it is a very advanced curse. During his tenure in the Umbu, he also secretly read the top secret files and found that, including my himself, all the 5 great shinobi villages have tried to crack the cage bird curse of the Hyuga clan, but all of them failed. From this, it can be seen that the cage bird curse has indeed reached the top level of the shinobi world. If they can't find the right medicine, even if 5 great shinobi villages will not be able to crack it. And this raises a question. In a hurry, it is impossible for the Hyuga clan to develop such a high-end curse. The most optimistic estimate is that it will take at least 10 years to develop the initial version of the cage bird curse. But if the Otsutsuki clan on the moon really regarded the Hyuga clan as prey, how could they wait for 10 years in vain and watch the Hyuga clan slowly develop the cage bird curse to protect their Byakuga? This is completely illogical. Under normal circumstances, after the Hyuga clan noticed the intention of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, they would only have a few weeks or even only 1 week to react. In this sudden crisis, the Hyuga clan has no time to develop the cage bird curse at all. Even if they decisively abandon their clan and hide everywhere in the shinobi world, it will be difficult to eliminate the covetous eyes of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, and it is even more impossible to win 10 years to develop the cage bird curse by hiding everywhere. It must be known that the development of the cage bird curse is not only time-consuming and laborious, but also requires a lot of financial support. In the state of the entire clan being on the run, the Hyuga clan does not have the basic conditions to develop the cage bird curse at all. What method did the Hyuga clan use to survive this time difference and win precious time to develop the cage bird curse? A new doubt emerged in Hyojin's mind. Snap! At this time, he suddenly closed the genealogy book in his hand, because the answer was right before their eyes. Hyojin boldly guessed that the Hyuga clan at that time, in order to protect themselves from the Otsutsuki branch, probably used the same inhumane method as the Otsutsuki branch, sacrificing hundreds of clansmen to hastily create a giant Tenseigan. This was the only way he could truly deter the lunatics on the moon, dispel their greed, and buy himself a moment of respite. Then, the Hyuga clan could calmly start the development of the caged bird curse seal, cutting off the idea of Otsutsuki's separation from the root. Although it is an act of self-protection, this is undoubtedly a dark history for the Hyuga clan. Therefore, after spending more than 10 years to develop the curse of the cage bird, the Hyuga clan chose to cover up this dark history. Isn't my idea a little too outrageous? Thinking of this, Hyojin, who had recovered, took a deep breath, but he did not deny his guess because of this. But the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Assuming my guess is right, then where's the giant Tenseigan created by the Hyuga clan now? Why is there no record or rumor left in the shinobi world? Could it be that the Hyuga clan destroyed it after the initial development of the cage bird curse seal was completed? With a frown, Hyojin returned to the original question. But if it was destroyed by the Hyuga clan, then what is suppressing the population of the Hyuga clan and the upper limit of the strength of a single clansman? Hyojin vaguely felt that if the Hyuga clan really created a giant Tenseigan for self-protection hundreds of years ago, then that giant Tenseigan must not have been destroyed by the Hyuga clan. Otherwise, it is difficult to explain why the strength of the Hyuga clan has been getting weaker and weaker in the past 100 years, and the population has been slowly decreasing. If that giant Tenseigan really exists, it must continue to absorb the Byakugan chakra of the Hyuga clan somewhere. And its state must be very wrong. Otherwise, it would be impossible for my Tenseigan not to perceive its existence. Hyojin narrowed his eyes and looked around the secret vault in front of him. With this suspicion target, he flipped through the various ancient books in the secret vault. However, to his surprise, there was no record of the giant Tenseigan in all the ancient books, not even a word about it. For a while, he couldn't help but wonder if his speculation was wrong. Did I guess wrongly? Or did the Patriarch destroy all the information related to the giant Tenseigan? What is the purpose of doing this? Although the manufacturing method of the giant Tenseigan is inhumane, what is the need to destroy or cover it up when it has already been made? Unless the ancestors of the Hyuga clan have already noticed that the giant Tenseigan will suppress the future of the clan? Hyojin is really unable to determine whether there is really such a wise person among the ancestors of the Hyuga clan who can maintain their original heart and weigh the pros and cons in the face of the huge temptation of power. It must be known that the Otsutsuki branch on the moon may be extreme and crazy, but they are not stupid for destroying the Hyuga clan. So with the decrease in population year by year, they must also be aware of the danger of the giant Tenseigan to the future of the clan, but they couldn't give up the infinite power brought by the giant Tenseigan and fell into the temptation of this power, which eventually led to the whole clan coming to the brink of extinction without any external enemies. In contrast, the ancestors of the Hyuga clan are much more rational, but there are various signs that the ancestors of the Hyuga clan should not be able to make up their mind to destroy the giant Tenseigan. So the giant Tenseigan is most likely sealed somewhere, and it is likely that because of the long-term seal, the giant Tenseigan is in an abnormal state. The ancestors of the Hyuga clan destroyed all the records about the giant Tenseigan in order to prevent the emergence of greedy and ambitious people in the younger generation, causing the clan to be destroyed, causing even the Hyuga clan to lose its understanding of this period of history. No, in order to prevent the comeback of the Otsutsuki branch, the ancestors must have left some kind of clue about the giant Tenseigan, and it should be hidden in these ancient books. Maybe it is some kind of code, some kind of password, or maybe it is a map of the location of the giant Tenseigan. Chapter 569. Hyojin quickly converged his scattered thoughts and sorted out the clues he had at the moment. According to his speculation, if the ancestors of the Hyuga clan really created a giant Tenseigan and hid the secret of that giant Tenseigan in these ancient books, then from the time speculation, the secret should be hidden in the ancient books written in the period from more than 300 years ago to more than 100 years ago. This eliminated most of the ancient books in the secret vault and narrowed the scope of the search from the entire secret vault to a bookshelf. Slowly walking to the bookshelf dedicated to the ancient books written in this period, Hyojin did not hesitate to open his Tenseigan, because he does not know in what form the secret left by the ancestors of the Hyuga clan. So opening the Tenseigan can maximize the extent to ensure that he will not miss any clues. But after flipping through more than 10 ancient books in a row, Hyojin's brows gradually wrinkled. He found that the ancient books written by the Hyuga clan during this period are particularly missing, such as the Chronicles of the Hyuga clan. From the bibliography, it can be seen that the Hyuga clan wrote a total of 7 books during this period, but there are only 3 books on the bookshelf and 4 books are missing. Some other travel notes and miscellaneous notes are also missing to varying degrees. Strange. Why are the ancient books missing from this period so serious? Ding! At this moment, a light bell sounded in the secret vault. Kuroto's lips twitched. He knew that the guardian elder of the Zone clan was urging him to hurry up. The secret vault is the top priority of the Hyuga clan. Even with the permission of Patriarch Hayashi, Hyojin, as a member of the branch family, can't stay here for too long at a time. Closing the Tenseigan, Hyojin strode out of the secret vault and then met Hayashi again. Hayashi took a sip of the teacup and then asked leisurely, "Did you get anything from ancient books?" After pondering for a moment, Hyojin decided to test Hayashi. "Patriarch, when I looked through the genealogy, I found that the number of our clansmen seems to be decreasing year by year. What is the reason for this?" Hayashi slowly frowned and said with emotion, "Perhaps it is because of the war. You also know that the shinobi clans in the village were more or less affected by the war. Some were even directly destroyed because of the war." Looking at Hayashi, Hyojin found that the expression on Hayashi's face did not seem to be fake, and thought, "It seems that the Hyuga clan is also aware of this phenomenon, but they should not know the real reason for this, so they can only attribute the decrease of the clansmen to the war. The Senju clan perished, the Uzumaki clan dispersed, and the Kagaya clan was annihilated." In the context of the successive decline of the great clans of the shinobi world, the decrease in the population of the Hyuga clan is indeed not a shocking thing. The Hyuga clan was aware of it, but they did not care too much, which is also reasonable. And this point can also be confirmed from the side that the current Hyuga clan does not know the existence of the giant Tenseigan and has completely lost control of it. Hyojin changed the topic, and after chatting for a while, he vaguely mentioned the serious loss of ancient books in the secret vault. Hayashi suddenly frowned. "Hey, when the secret vault was attacked last time, several ancient books were stolen. I never thought that this time the village was destroyed, the secret vault was damaged, and many ancient books were lost." Hyojin's heart skipped a beat. Hyojin did not pay too much attention to the previous attack on the secret vault and the theft of the Byakugan, but he knows that the culprit is most likely the traitor who has been lurking in the Hyuga clan, because only a traitor who is familiar with the Hyuga clan's mansion would have the opportunity to plot against the Hyuga elder stationed in the secret vault. As for the others, not to mention committing the crime, even finding out where the Hyuga clan's secret vault is not an easy task. But to Hyojin's surprise, the traitor took advantage of the time when the Akatsuki attacked the village to steal some ancient books from the secret vault, and it seems to be targeted. Could it be that he found something in the ancient books? For a while, this thought lingered in Hyojin's mind. The traitor lurking in the family broke into the secret vault for the first time, and from the fact that he triggered the alarm of the caged bird curse, it can be seen that his main goal is the caged bird curse. As for stealing the ancient books, it should be a hasty act after triggering the alarm of the secret vault. After all, it is not easy to break into the family's secret vault, and if it was Hyojin, he would have taken something before leaving. But the traitor took advantage of the chaos in the village and the destruction of the clan land by the Shinra Tensei to steal the secret vault for the second time, and the goal became very clear. From this, it can be seen that the traitor must have found something in the ancient books he stole the first time, so there was a clear purpose to steal the second time. It is precisely because the purpose of the traitor's second theft is very clear. He only locked on a few ancient books and did not covet the other treasures in the secret vault, so it did not attract the attention of the Hyuga clan and did not trigger relevant investigations and searches. What a restrained and forbearing guy. Hey, our Hyuga clan still has some talented people. Analyzing this, Hyojin couldn't help but secretly sigh. If the traitor really found clues related to the giant Tenseigan of the Hyuga clan in the ancient books, and followed the clues to find the giant Tenseigan, then it is actually not a bad thing for Hyojin. Because the giant Tenseigan is not in anyone's hands. That person has the authority to control it. The authority to control the giant Tenseigan is determined according to bloodline and intimacy. Because the giant Tenseigan on the moon is composed of the Byakugan of the Otsutsuki branch family, so the last descendant of the Otsutsuki branch family, Otsutsuki Sarai, is its highest authority. No one else, including Hyojin, who also has the Tenseigan, can compete with him in this regard. As long as Otsutsuki Samurai is still alive, Hyojin will always be the second highest authority of the giant Tenseigan. And the giant Tenseigan of the Hyuga clan, whether it is bloodline or intimacy, Hyojin, who also has the Tenseigan, is worthy of the highest authority of the giant Tenseigan. If the trader found the giant Tenseigan according to the clues in the ancient books and lifted the seal on the giant Tenseigan, then he should hide far away and never appear in front of Hyojin. Otherwise, once he appears in front of Hyojin with the giant Tenseigan, it will be no different from delivering himself to the door. Chapter 570. After chatting with Hayashi for a few more days about the entrance ceremony, Hyojin got up and left. From the probing just now, Kuroto discovered that the patriarch of the Hyuga clan doesn't know much more than he does. Some of the secrets of the Hyuga clan were obviously lost in the history of the Hyuga clan, or was deliberately covered up by an ancestor. Leaving the Zong family mansion, Kuroto strolled on the long street of the clan land, still thinking about the traitor and the clues of the ancient book. Kuroto! Suddenly, a light shout came from the distance. Coming back to his senses, Hyojin looked in the direction of the sound and saw that not far away, Yui was waving at him, and beside her was the father and son pair, Richa and Ningxi. Hyojin walked over and asked Ningxi, "Ningxi, are you okay?" Ningxi shook his head. "Sensei, I'm fine." Yui smiled. "Don't worry, Tsunade. Sama just checked Ningxi's body. He is very healthy, and the Akatsuki organization didn't do anything to him. There's no doubt that Richa and Ningxi just went to the My Hospital. The methods of the Akatsuki organization are strange and unpredictable, and as a father, Richa took Ningxi to the My Hospital for a checkup to ensure that nothing went wrong. And because of Tsunade, Yui was transferred to the My Hospital and officially became a medical ninja under the jurisdiction of the My Hospital. So after meeting Richa and his son at the hospital, she took the initiative to accompany Richa and Ningxi back to the clan. Richa sighed. This time it's really thanks to Uchiha's rescue team. As a father, after Ningxi was kidnapped, Richa should have tried his best to rescue him. But as a member of the branch family, Richa had to devote all his energy to rescuing Hinata, so he feels very guilty towards Ningxi. Yes, Hyojin nodded with a smile. Although it was Uchiha's rescue team that rescued Sasuke and Ningxi, Hyojin has always been the one who worked in the dark. If it weren't for Hyojin ordering Itachi to cooperate with him and put pressure on the Akatsuki organization, the Akatsuki organization wouldn't have released the two children so easily. Moreover, even if the Akatsuki organization refuses to release the two children, with Shinichi as an undercover agent of Hyojin, the two children wouldn't be in much danger. After all, the two children don't have tailed beasts in their bodies, so they aren't the direct target of the Akatsuki organization. At this time, Hyojin noticed that Ningxi's expression was a little depressed, and his eyes were full of confusion. So he asked, "Ningxi, what's wrong? Why do you look unhappy?" Richa glanced at Ningxi beside him and sighed faintly. He knows why Ningxi's expression is depressed, because after Ningxi was rescued, the first thing he asked was him, "Father, please tell me the truth. Is our Hyuga clan really inferior to the Uchiha clan?" In the face of such a sharp question from Ningxi, Richa was speechless and couldn't answer. As far as the current situation is concerned, there is indeed no strong person in the Hyuga clan that can match the Manjikyu Sharingan Uchiha. But for Richa to personally admit that the Hyuga clan is inferior to the Uchiha clan, he simply can't say it. So in the face of his son's questioning, he can only choose to respond with silence. But what puzzles him even more is the confusion shown by Ningxi this time. Ningxi may have had similar doubts before, but in his heart, he has a sense of mission to catch up, defeat Uchiha, and regain the honor of the Hyuga clan. But now, Ningxi seems to have suffered a great setback, and he is at a loss about the future of his life. This feeling is as if he has already determined that the Hyuga clan is inferior to the Uchiha clan, and that no matter how hard he works, it will be difficult to change this fate. Puzzled, Richa naturally asked Ningxi's experience in the hands of the Akatsuki organization in detail. Only then did he understand why Ningxi has such a heavy sense of frustration after coming back this time. Seeing Ningxi hanging his head and not saying a word, Richa had to answer for him. This kid lost to the child of the Uchiha clan, so he is a little sad. With that, Richa briefly told Ningxi's experience in the Akatsuki organization to Hyojin. Hearing this, Hyojin smiled and said, "So that's what happened." Seeing that his father has already spoken, Ningxi said, "Sensei, I saw Sasuke surpass me step by step with my own eyes. Before that, I still won and lost to him, but after Shinichi Senpai guided him, he seems to have changed into a different person, getting stronger and stronger day by day. I am now far from his opponent." Hyojin's mouth twitched and said jokingly, "Hey, you admit defeat so easily? This is not like you." "No, I'm not admitting defeat. It's just that I can't see the hope of surpassing him. His Sharingan is better than my Byakugan." The more Ningxi said, the more his voice became smaller and smaller, and finally, it can't be heard anymore. "What the hell is this Shinichi guy doing, provoking my disciple like this?" After cursing in his heart, Hyojin was about to enlighten Ningxi with a few words. After all, Ningxi is just an 8 or 9-year-old child, and it is normal for him to be confused after receiving a strong stimulation. But at this moment, there was a noise in the distance, and a group of Uchiha clansmen wearing police uniforms rushed into the Hyuga clan's land. "Where is Hyojin? Tell him to come out. This time we must teach him a good lesson. Let him know the power of our Uchiha clan. Humph! He dares to compete with our Uchiha clan for the position of headmaster. He is too arrogant." In an instant, unscrupulous curses echoed in the sky of the Hyuga clan, and one by one, the Hyuga clansmen took to the streets and glared angrily at the group of Uchiha clansmen who broke into the Hyuga clan. Even the main gate of the Hyuga clan was opened, and Patriarch Hayashi walked out with a stern face along with his entourage. Hyojin frowned and was about to meet the group of Uchiha clansmen. Yu quickly grabbed Hyojin's sleeve and shook her head at him with a pleading look. "Kuroto, don't go." After becoming the disciple of Tsunade, Yu's vision has also broadened a lot. She knows that the Uchiha clansmen wearing police uniforms must serve in the police force, and the Uchiha clansmen who can serve in the police force must be at least a Tokubetsu Jonin, and the group of Uchiha clansmen who broke into the clan's land in front of them has a total of 8 people. A total of 8 Jonin-level experts, and they're all Uchiha Jonin. Even if a Kaga-level powerhouse comes, it will take a lot of effort to deal with them, so he doesn't dare to let Hyojin have a head-on confrontation with these Uchiha clansmen. Richa also stood up at this time and said seriously, "Kuroto, let the clan deal with it. The other party pointed out my name. I can't pretend that I didn't hear it." After a pause, Hyojin smiled gently at you again. "Don't worry, it will be over soon." Chapter 571. Under the gaze of many Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the street, Hyojin slowly walked towards the Uchiha Jonin who were clamoring. The expression on his face was very calm, as if it was just an ordinary stroll after a meal. Not far behind him, Yu clenched her hands in front of her chest, unable to hide the worry on her face. On the side, Richa also frowned, and the Byakugan in his eye sockets slowly opened, faintly preparing to intervene in the dispute. Little Ningxi stood on his tiptoes and looked into the distance. When at home, Ningxi often heard his father Richa praising Hyojin, and he has also heard Hyojin admit that he is the strongest person in the Hyuga clan, but he has never seen Hyojin in action, so facing the provocation of the Uchiha Jonin this time, his immature little face showed both worry and a hint of expectation. In front of the main house, Hayashi gave a few orders to the attendant beside him and asked the attendant to immediately report this matter to the 3 generations. 8 Uchiha police force Jonin broke into the Hyuga clan together. This matter can be big or small, and if it is not handled properly, it is likely to cause the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan to become enemies. Especially at the moment when the Uchiha clan is in the limelight. Once they become enemies with the Uchiha clan, the prestige of the Hyuga clan is likely to suffer a heavy blow. This is not that Hayashi is not optimistic about Hyojin, but in the face of 8 Jonin-level experts, moreover, they're Jonin of the Uchiha clan with Sharingan. Even Hayashi himself is not 100% sure. So even if he has confidence in Hyojin, Hayashi has to prepare for the worst. On the long street, seeing Hyojin walking over alone, an Uchiha clansman who knew him immediately laughed. "Yo, you finally dare to show up. I thought you would hide in your clan land and dare not come out to see people." Another Uchiha clansman who didn't know Hyojin glanced at Hyojin disdainfully and asked the clansmen around him, "Hey, this guy can also defeat Shinichi?" Walking closer, Hyojin asked lightly, "What do you want from me?" At this time, the leader of the Uchiha Jonin stood out and said to Hyojin with a contemptuous look, "Hyojin, as long as you resign for the position of the headmaster of the ninja school to the village now, we will forgive your rudeness this time. Otherwise, we will let you understand what will happen if you go against the Uchiha clan." One of the Uchiha Jonin behind him said indignantly, "Why are you saying this to him? Let him kneel down and apologize." The leader of the Uchiha Jonin said with a face full of ridicule, "Hey, he is also a member of the Hyuga clan, and he also has the pupil Kekiai Genkai. We have to give him some face. The Hyuga clan is nothing." With a light snort, the indignant Uchiha Jonin deliberately spat on the ground after provoking the Hyuga clansman around with his eyes. Hyojin's face darkened, and he said calmly, "I'm sorry. I'm busy with work, and I don't have time to tangle with you one by one." The leader of the Uchiha Jonin laughed sinisterly. "You want to escape? No way. If you refuse to resign from the position of the headmaster of the ninja school, I'm afraid you will have to spend the night in my hospital today. Don't worry, the medical expenses will be paid by the Uchiha Jonin." Ha ha. The group of Uchiha Jonin also laughed loudly, without the slightest shyness and timidity of being surrounded by Hyuga clansmen in the territory of the Hyuga clan. "I think you have misunderstood. What I meant just now is that I don't have time to tangle with you one by one. So if you want to fight, it's better to fight together." As Hyojin said, he waved at the Uchiha Jonin. The surrounding Hyuga clansmen were all taken aback. No one expected that Hyojin would choose to fight 1 against 8. This is simply incredible. Yu was so shocked that she covered her mouth. Her eyes were full of surprise. Hizashi, on the other hand, was thinking about Kuroto's intentions in doing this. He felt that Kuroto wouldn't act recklessly in such a dangerous matter, so there must be some other reason for him to do this. The leader of the Uchiha Jonin came in front of Hyojin and scratched his ear. "What did you say just now, you bastard? I didn't hear you clearly. Say it again." The corner of Hyojin's mouth twitched and immediately turned around and directly kicked the Uchiha Jonin in the chest. His whole body was kicked out fiercely. Bang! After a beautiful arc in the air, the leading Uchiha Jonin smashed into a low wall with a muffled sound. In an instant, the whole long street was quiet. Whether it was the Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the long street or the Uchiha Jonin in front of Hyojin, all of them were stunned. None of them expected that Hyojin would suddenly attack, and in such a decisive and ruthless manner. "You are courting death." After being stunned for a few seconds, the group of Uchiha Jonin finally reacted. They all rushed towards Hyojin angrily. Swoosh! With a teleportation technique, Hyojin flashed behind another Uchiha Jonin with a smile on his face. Without waiting for the other party to react, he kicked the back of the other party's knee, forcing the other party to kneel on the ground, then took out the Kusanagi pill from his waist and casually placed it on the other party's neck. With the Kusanagi pill pressed against his throat, the angry Uchiha Jonin's face suddenly stiffened, and the angry curses that he was about to blurt out were also forcibly suppressed by the sharpness of the Kusanagi pill. The other 6 Uchiha Jonin saw that their companion was held hostage by Hyojin. They could only stop their bodies from rushing toward Hyojin, and their faces showed a look of fear. Tisk, Hyojin snorted with a smile, then used the back of the Kusanagi pill to hit the temple of the Uchiha Jonin who was restrained by him, instantly knocking him to the ground. Then, Hyojin put the Kusanagi pill back into the scabbard and said, "Okay, let's continue. I'm going to kill you. Go to hell. Damn it." The remaining 6 Uchiha Jonin were shocked and angry. One by one, they roared and rushed towards Hyojin again. Unlike before, after learning a lesson, they all put away their contempt, and in their hearts, they have already regarded Hyojin as a strong enemy on the same level as themselves. On the way to the Hyuga clan, Itachi and Jishue were in a hurry, and Sasuke followed closely behind them. Perhaps because he had never seen his brother and Jishue so anxious before, Sasuke also became worried and pleaded to Itachi, "Brother, you must save Ningxi's sensei later. Ningxi is my good friend. If his sensei is injured by our Uchiha clan, how can I still be friends with him in the future?" Chapter 572. In the Naruto building, 3 generations looked at the stack of documents on the desk. They sighed and put down the pipe in their mouths. Although he had retired from the position of Naruto, the 3 generations were still entangled with official duties. The daily affairs of the village, big or small, still needed to be decided by him. In fact, the 3 generations had also been confused. In order to become the Hokage, Shimura Danzo has racked his brains. It is reasonable to say that after successfully becoming the Hokage, he should have monopolized all the power, but what Sandaime-sama didn't expect was that after becoming the acting Hokage, although Shimura Danzo's actions were frequent, he had a sense of propriety. He didn't interfere excessively in many places, and some of the daily affairs of the village were directly delegated to the advisory elder group, which is really a bit abnormal. What is he trying to do? 3 generations couldn't figure out the Danzo's thoughts, but he had a faint feeling that the Danzo seemed to be plotting something in the dark, and this matter must be very important to the Danzo, so important that the Danzo couldn't even care about exercising Naruto's authority. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, there was a hurried knock on the office door. The 3 generations collected their thoughts and said, "Come in." Soon, a member of the Hyuga family walked into the office of 3 generations under the leadership of the Umbu and briefly reported the matter of Uchiha Jonin breaking into the Hyuga clan to 3 generations. "What?" Suddenly, Sandaime stood up from his chair, his brows knitted into a frown. The position of the headmaster of the ninja school, the 3 generations initially wanted to use it to appease and win over the Uchiha clan. But at that time, Jishue was obviously modest, and the Hyuga clan represented by Hyojin is also a powerful family that the 3 generations tried to win over. So the 3 generations pushed the boat with the current and arranged the position of the headmaster to Hyojin. Who would have thought that the Uchiha clan would be so arrogant as to break into another clan's territory to cause trouble? At the thought of the possibility of a large-scale conflict between the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan, 3 generations couldn't sit still at all, and immediately ordered the subordinates around him. "Quickly arrange a team of Umbu to follow me to the Hyuga clan." On the long street of the Hyuga clan, in the blink of an eye, 2 of their companions were killed, and the remaining 6 Uchiha Jonin were all surprised, and there was no longer any contempt in their hearts. All of them were on high alert, and after entering the real battle state, the 6 Uchiha Jonin immediately showed superb tactical attainments. Swish, swish, swish. In a burst of wind-breaking sound, the 6 Uchiha Jonin instantly divided into 3 groups, 2 people in each group, and surrounded Hyojin from 3 sides. Seeing this, Hyojin smiled slightly. Deliberately leaving a path of retreat for the surrounded enemy is the usual trick of the Uchiha clan. Once the enemy can't bear the pressure and chooses to escape, then the ninjas of the Uchiha clan will become the most seasoned hunters, skillfully playing with the enemy who has lost the will to fight. At this time, the 2 Uchiha Jonin in the middle simultaneously printed the hand seals, and their chakra burst out. Fire release, great fireball technique. Wind release, tornado technique. The fire took advantage of the wind, and the wind helped the fire. The 2 Uchiha Jonin's fire release and wind release echoed each other, and in an instant, a blazing flame that seemed to contain a storm was formed and violently blasted towards Hyojin. At the same time, the 4 Uchiha Jonin on both sides were ready, and the 3 Magatama on the Sharingan in their eye sockets slowly rotated, watching Hyojin's every move. As long as Hyojin chose to retreat and dodge the joint ninjutsu, he would fall into their trap. Boom! The huge fireball surrounded by the whirlwind went straight toward Hyojin. Along the way, a deep, charred ravine was plowed on the ground of the long street. The hard bricks that paved the street, under the roasting of this ball of fire, melted like mud into a glass-like state, emitting bursts of green smoke. Feeling the heat and violence of the joint ninjutsu, the Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the long street exclaimed. Yu's heart was in her throat. She has been training with Tsunade for some time, so she is very clear about the power of the joint ninjutsu performed by 2 Uchiha Jonin in front of her. This level of ninjutsu is simply impossible to resist head-on. Hayashi, the patriarch of the clan in the distance, also showed a worried expression on his face. Previously, when Hyojin instantly took down 2 Uchiha Jonin, although it was amazing, but there was more or less an element of sneak attack in it, and now that the Uchiha Jonin are serious, the fighting style is instantly different. Hayashi thinks that even if he was in the position of Hyojin, I am afraid that he would also fall into an irreversible passive position. And Richa directly put on a soft fist posture, ready to intervene in the battle at any time. Many Jonin-level Hyuga clansmen around him also secretly prepared like Richa. After all, no matter what their relationship with Hyojin is, they can't just watch Hyojin being bullied by Uchiha Jonin in their own clanland. Ningtse, who was hiding behind Richa, narrowed his eyes and showed a look of horror on his face. The joint ninjutsu performed by the Uchiha Jonin is too fierce. The high temperature on the fireball formed a heat wave surrounded by the whirlwind, making it difficult for him to look directly at the white eyes in his eye sockets, and his body trembled involuntarily. At this moment, Hyojin moved. However, he did not dodge the joint ninjutsu of fire release and wind release, as everyone expected, but his figure flashed and faced it head-on. Is he crazy? For a time, this thought flashed in everyone's mind. Boom! A roar suddenly exploded in everyone's ears, like an egg hitting a stone. Hyojin broke through the fierce fireball with no hindrance, and directly rushed in front of the 2 Uchiha Jonin who performed the joint ninjutsu. The 2 Uchiha Jonin who were side by side did not expect such a situation at all. When Hyojin came in front of them, their faces were still full of disbelief. And Hyojin did not say a word of nonsense, immediately stretched out his hands, grabbed the 2 Uchiha Jonin by the throat, and lifted them in his hands at the same time, with the chakra in his palm, with surgical precision, lightly hit the arteries at the neck of the 2 Uchiha Jonin, causing the 2 to faint due to insufficient blood supply to the brain. Looking at Hyojin holding 2 of their companions in his hands like catching chickens, the remaining 4 Uchiha Jonin were extremely embarrassed and angry. Hyojin casually threw the 2 Uchiha Jonin in his hands on the Uchiha Jonin who was knocked out by his Kusanagi, piling the 3 unconscious Uchiha Jonin into a pile, then said to the remaining 4, "Continue, I'm in a hurry." Chapter 573. Surprise, anger, and even fear and other emotions filled the hearts of the 4 Uchiha Jonin. The scene just now was too strange in their view. They didn't expect Hyojin to be able to break through the joint ninjutsu performed by his 2 companions. Although Great Fireball Jutsu and Tornado Jutsu are not high-level ninjutsu, the caster is a real Jonin, and the cooperation between the 2 companions has always been tacit. The timing of the release of fire release and wind release is just right, complementing each other. The power of the joint ninjutsu is even far beyond ordinary A-class ninjutsu. According to common sense, in the face of such a powerful ninjutsu, let alone an ordinary Jonin, even a Kaga-level expert would never choose to face it head-on. It is precisely because of this that the 2 Uchiha Jonin were caught off guard by Hyojin. Looking at the surprised and doubtful look on the faces of the several Uchiha Jonin, Hyojin's mouth slightly rose. The absolute defense of the Hyuga clan, 8 trigram palm, revolving heaven, is actually a barrier made of chakra outside the body to resist external attacks by releasing their own chakra. The reason why the Hyuga clan needs to rotate rapidly when using revolving heaven is because the strength of the chakra is not strong enough, and it needs to use the rotational force generated by the rotation to further enhance the defensive power of revolving heaven to achieve a near-absolute defense. But if the strength of their own chakra is strong enough, like the previous generations of Lei Ying of the Cloud Village, they directly cover their whole body with high-intensity lightning chakra and activate lightning release chakra mode. Then there is no need to use any rotational force at all. Just now, Hyojin used the technique of 8 trigram palm, revolving heaven, but he omitted the process of spinning and directly released the chakra, forming a high-strength chakra barrier on his right hand. With his right hand as the lead, he directly broke through the joint ninjutsu performed by the 2 Uchiha Jonin and caught them off guard. Although this consumed more chakra, to Hyojin, who was controlling his Yin escape body, this level of consumption was just a drop in the ocean. The reason why the 4 Uchiha Jonin were surprised is because Hyojin's skills are superb, and his movements are decisive and swift, coupled with the flames and airwaves of the joint ninjutsu that obscured their vision, so their Sharingan was unable to capture Hyojin's revolving heaven. What should we do? He's only 1 person while we have 4. We won't lose. Well, don't be afraid. This guy is just a little fast. No matter how fast he is, he can't be faster than our Sharingan. Encouraging each other, the 4 Uchiha Jonin gradually reignited their fighting spirit, although they don't quite understand how they lost 4 of their companions. But the honor of the Uchiha Jonin doesn't allow them to retreat. Hyojin smiled. Don't get distracted. Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Suijin's figure disappeared from the spot. The 4 Uchiha Jonin were suddenly startled, and their faces tightened. Their scarlet Sharingan flashed around in their eye sockets, searching for Hyojin's figure. At this time, one of the Uchiha Jonin was keenly aware of the change in the airflow behind him, and as soon as he turned around, he found Hyojin, who was preparing to pounce on him from behind. Seeing this scene, the Uchiha Jonin immediately grinned. Found you! But at this moment, the Uchiha Jonin frowned. He noticed that Hyojin's left hand that was pouncing on him was actually making hand seals in his sleeve, and because of the sleeve, he could only see the changes in the fingertips of Hyojin's left hand, but was unable to capture the details of the hand seals. Huh, he can actually make hand seals with 1 hand? What kind of ninjutsu is this? In an instant, the Uchiha Jonin's attention was focused on Hyojin's left hand hidden in the sleeve, and with his own experience, he estimated the ninjutsu that Hyojin was about to use. And just when the Uchiha Jonin was slightly distracted, Hyojin suddenly accelerated and appeared in front of him, his left hand hidden in the sleeve coordinated with his right hand to launch a round of fierce attacks. Bang, bang, bang. Because of the distraction, the Uchiha Jonin was barely able to parry 4 of 5 palm strikes, and was hit in the neck by Hyojin, and with a face full of unwillingness, he fainted. With a light kick with his foot, Hyojin kicked the unconscious Uchiha Jonin on the ground to the 3 Uchiha Jonin who had fainted before and piled them into a pile. Then, Hyojin turned around and looked at the remaining 3 Uchiha Jonin with a smile. The remaining 3 Uchiha Jonin were shocked, angry, hateful, and afraid. They all saw the process of Hyojin playing with their companions. Damn, this guy knows our Uchiha Jonin very well. He knows our habit of using the Sharingan. He can accelerate in a short distance. That was not his full speed at all. Hey, is he using soft fist? Why does it look like iron fist? The 3 Uchiha Jonin reported the information they observed to each other. They're all experienced ninjas, and they quickly discovered the method that Hyojin used just now. Because of the Sharingan, the Uchiha Jonin are used to seeing through everything about their opponents, and this habit is engraved into their body instincts. And Hyojin just used this point through the false hand seals in his sleeve. He attracted the opponent to be distracted, and then instantly accelerated, and with sharp physical techniques, he instantly killed the Uchiha Jonin who is not weak in physical techniques. Hyojin didn't say a word of superfluous nonsense, and once again slowly walked towards the remaining 3 Uchiha Jonin. Looking at the gradually approaching Hyojin, the 3 Uchiha Jonin kept retreating, as if Hyojin is the one with the most people, and they're the one with the least people. At this time, one of the Uchiha Jonin asked, "You, why do you know our Uchiha Jonin's Sharingan so well? Why do I know so much about the Sharingan?" Hyojin smiled and didn't stop walking. He naturally won't tell the other party that he has a pair of eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. On the sidelines, Ningxi's eyes were full of stars, and while pulling his father Rich's sleeve, he asked, Father, what kind of soft fist does Sensei use? Why is it so powerful?" With a serious face, Richa looked at the field intently and explained, "Your sensei did not use any kind of soft fist routine. His attack is a mixture of our Hyuga clan soft fist, my Ryu sword, Uchiha Taijutsu, and even some iron fist techniques. Not only is it simple and practical, but it is also fierce and fierce." Ningxi was stunned. "What does this mean?" Richa said with emotion. "Your sensei has jumped out of the shackles of soft fist. Post-air, share." Chapter 574. At this time, Richa had completely put away his worries about Hyojin and was addicted to Hyojin's simple and sharp physical style. Before fighting, the Hyuga clan would often put on a soft fist stance, and then fight with a variety of enemies according to the soft fist routine. Because of the improvement of countless generations, the soft fist of the Hyuga clan has been close to perfection. In terms of physical skills, it was enough to deal with most kinds of enemies. But it was also because of this perfection that the soft fist of the Hyuga clan must be moderate enough to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations and special physical skills. And there was often only a fine line between mediocrity and mediocrity. Although moderation could raise the lower limit of the soft fist and ensure that the soft fist would not be restrained by some strange body technique, moderation also limited the upper limit of the soft fist, causing the soft fist to lose the most important sharpness and flexibility of body techniques. Before this, Richa was also confused. The reputation of the Uchiha clan was growing day by day, but the reputation of the Hyuga clan was far less than before. He could not see what the future of soft fist was, and could only go around in the circle drawn by his ancestors, looking for a non-existent way out in the circle. And after watching Hyojin's battle today, he vaguely understood that soft fist was the foundation of the Hyuga clan survival, but also the cage that confined the growth of the Hyuga clan. On the field, bang! With a horizontal kick, Hyojin kicked the 7th Uchiha Jonin to the ground, causing his head to bleed, and he fainted. Immediately, he twisted the Uchiha Jonin at his feet and threw him into the crowd formed by the fainted Uchiha Jonin not far away, while looking at the last Uchiha Jonin standing in the field. "You, the only remaining Uchiha Jonin in the field," stammered as he stepped back. Just now, right under his nose, Kuroto used pure taijutsu to finish off his last 2 companions. He never thought that pure taijutsu could be so terrifying. Hyojin slowly walked toward him and said with a smile, "What are you trying to say? If you admit defeat, I can let you go." Looking at Hyojin's calm demeanor, the only remaining Uchiha Jonin shouted angrily, "Come on, I'm the noble Uchiha. I'm not afraid of you." As soon as he finished speaking, the Uchiha Jonin felt a sharp pain in his neck, and his eyelids became extremely heavy. Bang! At the same time, the Hyojin in front of him turned into white smoke with a soft sound and dissipated with the wind. Shadow doppelganger? When did it happen? Why didn't I notice it at all? His body shook a little, and the last standing Uchiha Jonin finally interrupted his thoughts and fainted on the ground unwillingly. At this time, Hyojin, who used the shadow doppelganger to confuse the opponent, and his real body sneaked behind the opponent to launch a surprise attack, bent down and picked up the last unconscious Uchiha Jonin on the ground, came to the front of the crowd, and threw him into the crowd. Looking at the pile of people piled up by the 7 fainted Uchiha Jonin on the street, the Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the street all opened their mouths in disbelief, as if everything in front of them was just an unreal dream. The fierce battle that everyone expected did not happen. There was only a one-sided beating, a crushing of physical skills and tactics. You also looked sluggish. Unknowingly, Kuroto has become so strong. When he was in the ninja school, he couldn't beat me. Ningxi on the side looked at Hyojin with admiration and said to himself, Sensei is really the strongest in our Hyuga clan. I'm too stupid. How can I admit defeat so easily? Sasuke, your Uchiha clan is not invincible. Just you wait. I will definitely let you know the strength of our Hyuga clan. In front of the main house, staring at Hyojin, who easily dealt with the 8 Uchiha Jonin, Hayashi, as the head of the family, was surprised. Hyojin's strength far exceeded his expectations. Others may not have noticed, but he noticed that Hyojin didn't even use the Byakugan during the battle. Defeating 8 Uchiha Jonin without using the Byakugan or Advanced Soft Fist, Kuroto, you really scared me. At the same time, Hayashi couldn't help but recall the advice Hyojin gave to the family. At this moment, the leader of the Uchiha Jonin, who was kicked by Hyojin and slammed into the low wall, shook his head and stood up in a daze. Hyojin, who was standing quietly in front of the crowd, turned his head and glanced at him, showing a little surprise on his face. In the first kick, Hyojin didn't show much mercy. It stands to reason that even with the physique of a Jonin, he should have fainted for at least an hour or two. He didn't expect the other party to wake up so quickly. It can be seen that the other party's physique has exceeded the level of ordinary Jonin. Feeling the gazes of the people around and recalling the experience of being kicked by Hyojin, the leader of the Uchiha Jonin who woke up was ashamed, and when he saw the 7 companions around Hyojin piled up, he was even more shocked and angry and shouted, Hyojin, I will kill you with my own hands. Bang! In the rage, the chakra on the body of the leader of the Uchiha Jonin broke out in an instant, and immediately his figure flashed. Accompanied by a scream, he rushed towards Hyojin. So fast, listening to the screams that sounded like sonic booms in their ears. Many of the weaker Hyuga clansmen quickly covered their ears. At the same time, all the Hyuga clansmen sighed with emotion in their hearts. Even the Hyuga Hayashi, who was standing in front of the Hyuga mansion, was no exception. At this moment, the Hyuga clansmen remembered that the one who came to the clan to provoke them was not an outsider, but a Jonin-level expert. Moreover, he is the Jonin of the Uchiha clan. Worry surged up in an instant, filling the hearts of every Hyuga clansman. Everyone looked at Suijin, who was standing quietly in front of the crowd. In the interweaving of the sonic boom and the airwave, the leader of the Uchiha Jonin rushed in front of Hyojin like a shock wave. The huge shock wave swept around, causing the weaker or more timid Hyuga clansmen to subconsciously close their eyes, not daring to look at the soul-stirring scene in front of them. However, the expected earth-shattering collision did not happen, and the sonic boom brought by the leader of the Uchiha Jonin suddenly stopped. The Hyuga clansmen were in a trance, and then they came back to their senses, only to see Hyojin pinching the neck of the leader of the Uchiha Jonin, whispering, Hey, he's quite fast. Immediately, he threw the leader of the Uchiha Jonin into the crowd beside him. Chapter 575. I can't just let them pile up here, can I? Sigh, what a headache. Looking at the 8 unconscious Uchiha Jonin standing beside him, Hyojin rubbed his chin with an embarrassed look on his face. At this moment, a member of the branch family who was guarding the entrance of the clan hurriedly crossed the street and came to the side of Patriarch Hayashi and whispered in his ear, Patriarch, something bad happened. The Uchiha clansman GQ is coming here. What? Hayashi was taken aback, and his face immediately became gloomy. The thing he was most worried about finally happened. Most of the disputes between the shinobi clans are caused by the personal conflicts between the clans, but in the end, the personal conflicts are no longer important because the disputes will continue to escalate, and eventually, it will inevitably evolve into a fight for fame, dignity, and even a life and death struggle between the shinobi clans. In the chaotic Warring States period, there were countless incidents of 2 clans fighting each other because of strange small conflicts, and many clans were destroyed because of this. Just when Hayashi was secretly worried, three figures with the Uchiha clan's emblem printed on their clothes appeared on the street of the Hyuga clan. There is no doubt that they are Jishue, Itachi, and Sasuke who rushed here in a hurry. Oh no, that's the Uchiha clan's Uchiha Jishue, right? Well, I know him. He is Flicker Jishue. The one next to Jishue seems to be the eldest and second son of the Uchiha clan's patriarch. I heard that they are both geniuses of the Uchiha clan. Are they also here to cause trouble for our Hyuga clan? The Uchiha clan's Manjikyu is here. What should we do? As Jishue and others entered the Hyuga clan's land, the Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the street suddenly whispered. And after learning the identity of the visitor from the mouths of the people who knew Uchiha Jishue, many Hyuga clansmen showed a look of worry and panic on their faces. As everyone knows, Uchiha Jishue, who possesses the Manjikyu Sharingan, is the strongest person in the Uchiha clan who can intervene in the battle between the leaders of Amatsukami and Akatsuki. It was easy to imagine what kind of reaction such an expert would have when he saw his own clansmen being beaten black and blue and piled up in a pile. Ling, who had finally heaved a sigh of relief, suddenly felt her heart in her mouth again. She looked nervously at Jishue and the other two who were slowly walking toward Hyojin, and secretly hoped. Jishue and Jing are colleagues. He shouldn't be looking for trouble, right? Although she knows that Jishue and Hyojin are good friends, but when it comes to the honor of their respective clans, Ling is not sure whether Jishue will fight with Hyojin or not. After all, in the eyes of the noble clans, the honor of the clan is above everything else. Richa, who had been watching the battle just now, no longer hesitated and immediately went to meet them. Uchiha Jishue is a genius who can use the body flicker jutsu, like the shadow clone jutsu, and he also has the Manjikyu Sharingan, which represents the highest pupil power of the Uchiha Sharingan. He is not a strong enemy that can be dealt with in a one-on-one fight. Once he starts fighting, he can only have a little chance of winning by ganging up on him. Ningxi saw Sasuke among the newcomers and wanted to greet him from afar, but he found that Sasuke's attention seemed to be focused on the pile of people around Hyojin, so he had no choice but to follow behind his father. Hayashi, who was standing in front of the main residence, pondered for a while and also walked over. I hope that the 3 generations can arrive in time, otherwise the consequences will be unimaginable. While walking, Hayashi was secretly anxious. As the patriarch of the Hyuga clan, Hayashi knows better than anyone that the current Hyuga clan is only relying on the prestige of the past, and no one in the clan is the opponent of Manjikyu Uchiha. So once he starts fighting with Uchiha Jishue in the clan's land, then the weakness of the Hyuga clan that he has been trying to cover up will be completely exposed to the world. Hayashi must not allow the prestige of the clan to be ruined by himself. So he sent someone to inform the 3 generations early, hoping that the village can intervene in time and mediate the dispute caused by the position of the headmaster of the ninja school. Just like the anxiety of the Hyuga clan, Jishue and Itachi, who are walking towards Hyojin, are also feeling guilty at the moment, for fear that Hyojin will vent his anger on the entire Uchiha clan because of the stupidity and arrogance of his own clan. Sasuke, who was following behind Itachi, widened his eyes and looked at the pile of people around Hyojin with an incredible expression. How did they get beaten so badly? Sasuke clearly remembers that these 8 people were piled into a pile of people. They were the same people who muttered to teach Ningxi's sensei a lesson after the previous clan meeting. And, according to the rules of the Uchiha clan, those who can participate in the clan meeting must at least have the strength of a Tokubetsu Jonin. So the Uchiha clan members who were beaten black and blue are all Tokubetsu Jonin. With a puzzled face, Sasuke glanced at Hyojin, who was standing quietly next to the pile of people. Seeing that Hyojin's body didn't have any injuries, he didn't even have any traces of fighting, so he vigilantly looked at the Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the street and snorted. Humph! It must be the Hyuga clan bullying the few. Ningxi's clansmen are too dishonorable. After a while, Jishue and the other 2 arrived in front of Hyojin. For a time, the eyes of the entire Hyuga clan were focused on them. Time seemed to freeze, and the expressions of worry, vigilance, and fear on the faces of the Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the street were fixed at this moment. No one knows what the Uchiha clan's Manjikyu will do after seeing the pile of people. But even the most optimistic estimate is that a battle is inevitable. Can Hyojin stop the Uchiha clan's Manjikyu? I hope he won't lose too badly. In an instant, this question surged in the hearts of all the Hyuga clansmen. Just at this moment when time seemed to freeze, the Hyuga clansmen Sajishue and Itachi bowed to Hyojin together and said in a sincere tone, "Senpai, I'm sorry for the trouble." Huh? Richa and Hayashi, who were walking towards Hyojin, were taken aback. They have considered many ways to deal with the situation, but they have never thought of this kind of situation. The Hyuga clansmen on both sides of the street were also taken aback. The development of things is completely different from what they imagined. Hyojin said flatly, "Go back and tell your clansmen, if they want to challenge me, make an appointment first. Don't rush into the clan's land. It's not good. Please rest assured, such a thing will not happen again." Jishue and Itachi bowed to Hyojin together. Hyojin waved his hand. "Take these guys away." "Yes, yes." Jishue and Itachi nodded quickly. Sasuke and Ningxi, who were looking at each other on the side, were dumbfounded. Post-air, share. Chapter 576. Following his brother Itachi and Jishue to help the people who were stunned by Hyojin, Sasuke's mind was suddenly in a trance. Hey, what am I doing here? Obviously, he dragged his brother Itachi and Jishue to rescue Ningxi sensei, but Sasuke couldn't understand why things suddenly became like this. He curiously looked at Hyojin not far away and thought, is this person Ningxi sensei? Did he defeat our Uchiha clan's 8 jonins by himself? How is this possible? Didn't the people say that there are no decent masters in the Hyuga clan? Seeing that Sasuke was struggling, Ningxi hurriedly stepped forward to help Sasuke lift a fainted Uchiha clansman. Sasuke took the opportunity to ask in a low voice, "Ningxi, these Uchiha clansmen, were they all defeated by your sensei alone?" Niji nodded with a proud look on his face. Sasuke pursed his lips and said insincerely, "Your sensei is very powerful." Originally, he wanted to help his friends and show off the strength of his family in front of his friends, but he didn't expect things to turn out like this. Not only the clansmen who came to make trouble were severely beaten up and lost the face of the Uchiha clan, even his brother and Jishue brother were respectful to Ningxi's sensei. Sasuke suddenly felt his face was hot. At this time, 3 generations led a team of Umbu and hurried to the Hyuga clan. Hayashi hurriedly led his people to greet the Hyuga clan, and while explaining the whole story to Sandaime-sama, he also expressed the gratitude of the Hyuga clan to Sandaime-sama, who came to mediate. Hearing that Hyojin alone defeated 8 members of the Uchiha police force, 3 generations frowned, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. In his impression, although Hyojin is an excellent Umbu and the representative of the new generation of the Hyuga clan, his strength should be between Jonin and elite Jonin, below Kakashi. One-on-one, it is not surprising that Hyojin can defeat a member of the Uchiha police force. But facing the siege of 8 members of the Uchiha police force, Hyojin can not only win, but also ensure that he is unscathed. This record is a bit dazzling. Temporarily suppressing the doubts in his heart, 3 generations came in front of Jishue and Itachi. Dealing with the Uchiha clansmen who broke into the Hyuga clan's territory and provoked them is only the first step. Next, how to appease the arrogant Uchiha clan and calm the storm is the key to the problem. Otherwise, once the Uchiha clan makes trouble, there will be no end to this matter. Just as 3 generations were brewing words and preparing to persuade Jishue and Itachi to resolve the dispute, Jishue and Itachi bowed to 3 generations and said in unison, "I am really sorry to trouble you to come here in person." "No, it's okay." 3 generations smiled and shook his head, feeling that something is not quite right. With this kind of dispute, It is reasonable to say that at this time, the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan should be at each other's throats, but looking at the expressions of Jishuei and Itachi, there does not seem to be any resentment and anger, so he prepared a stomach full of persuasion words, but he held back all of them. Then looking at the 8 people of the Uchiha clan who were stunned by Hyojin, with the experience of 3 generations, it is natural to see at a glance that these people of the Uchiha clan are not seriously injured, and they will recover in a few days. So he said to Hyojin, "You handled this matter very well." Hyojin said with a smile, "It's just a small matter. I didn't expect to disturb you. I'm really sorry." 3 generations sighed and said with emotion, "The matter between your 2 clans, no matter how small it is also a big matter. The village does not dare to have the slightest negligence." Hyojin said politely, "I have troubled you. It's good that things can be solved satisfactorily." After a pause, 3 generations then said, "You must prepare well for the entrance ceremony. Don't make any mistakes." "Okay." Hyojin nodded. Then, under the leadership of 3 generations, the 8 people of the Uchiha clan who were stunned by Hyojin were quickly sent to the Mai Hospital, and the onlookers of the Hyuga clan gradually dispersed. Among the dispersing crowd, a member of the Hyuga branch family looked at Suijin with a meaningful look, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a strange smile. As if feeling something, Hyojin looked back and glanced at the dispersing group of Hyuga clan members and said suspiciously, "There's a feeling of being watched just now. Why did it suddenly disappear?" At this time, Richa led Ningxi to Hyojin and said, "Kuroto, letting Ningxi worship you as a teacher is really the best choice I have ever made." Ningxi quickly bowed to Hyojin and said respectfully, "Sensei." Seeing that there was no confusion in Ningxi's eyes before, and his whole person seemed to be a lot more cheerful, Hyojin smiled. "The ninja school will reopen in a few days. This time you will be in the same class as Uchiha Sasuke. Work hard." "Well, I will not let you down." Ningxi nodded heavily. For a child of his age, the power of an example is infinite. Hyojin finally glanced in the direction where he felt the inexplicable gaze before, but still found nothing, so he no longer thought about it. And after saying goodbye to Patriarch Hayashi, he left the clan with you. On the side of 3 generations, after returning to the Hokage building, Sandaime sat in his office and thought about it. The more he thought about it, the more strange he felt. The combat power displayed by Kuroto today was far beyond his expectations, completely beyond the level of a normal jonin, faintly resembling an elite jonin. At this point, 3 generations called Kakashi to his office. Coming to the office of 3 generations, Kakashi took off the Umbu mask on his face and asked, "3 generations, what can I do for you?" Unlike Hyojin, Guy, and Jishuei, Kakashi is still working in the Umbu because he has mastered the Flying Thunder God Jutsu like 4 generations and is valued by Danzo. Sandaime-sama pondered for a moment and said, "You and Kuroto are from the same generation and colleagues. Tell me about him." "Kuroto?" Kakashi was stunned for a moment and said, "Kuroto is a very responsible and trustworthy partner. I didn't have much contact with him when I was in the ninja school, but in the Umbu, we got along very well." 3 generations then asked, "How much do you know about his strength?" Kakashi replied without thinking, "Very strong, not weaker than me." 3 generations frowned when he heard this. In the impression of 3 generations, as the disciple of 4 generations, Kakashi, who became a jonin at the age of 12, was the well-deserved leader of the new generation in the village. Except for Uchiha Jishuei, Kakashi should be the strongest among his peers, and he is also the candidate for Naruto, so he did not expect Kakashi to give such a high evaluation of Hyojin. Chapter 577. On the way to the ninja school, you pestered Hyojin and asked, "Hyojin, when did your taijutsu become so powerful?" Hyojin smiled proudly. "It's been so many years. Do you think that I haven't made any progress? Besides, if I didn't have some strength, how could I have become an Umbu squad leader?" You gently nodded. "That's right, without the strength of a jonin, it's impossible to become an Umbu squad leader." Ninjas at the level of elite Jonin are very rare even in the 5 great shinobi villages. So as long as they reach the level of a Jonin and have a certain skill, they're basically qualified to become an Umbu squad leader. Hyojin then smiled and said, "The casualty rate of the Umbu is so high, it's not just luck that I survived." You nodded and said with lingering fear, "I'm really relieved that you were transferred away from the Umbu this time." As a medical ninja in my hospital system, Yu is very familiar with the casualty rate of the Mai Umbu. After the Akatsuki began to be active, more than 100 Umbu members died directly or indirectly in the hands of the Akatsuki. In a single operation, several Umbu squads were killed, and many Umbu squads were destroyed and rebuilt 2 or 3 times. The reason why Hyojin was able to be promoted to Umbu squad leader so quickly is also because of the high casualty rate of the Umbu. Otherwise, with his achievements, he would have to wait at least 5 years before he could be promoted. It didn't take long for the two to arrive at the ninja school that the village spent a lot of money to rebuild. The new ninja school is larger than the original one, and it's also closer to the center of the village. It's only a few streets away from the Naruto building, and it's located in the most heavily guarded area of the village. Walking on the school field, you covered her mouth and chuckled, "I didn't expect you to become the headmaster of the ninja school." Hyojin looked at the new campus and said, "To be honest, when 3 generations handed over the ninja school to me, I was a little surprised myself." Ring seemed to remember something and hurriedly asked, "Jean, do you remember the exam when we were in school? Is it the time when all of you ganged up on Kakashi, but in the end, you were beaten up by Kakashi alone?" Hyojin's face darkened. He pretended to be casual and said, Did such a thing happen? I don't remember it at all." You smiled and said, "I remember it clearly. The 4 of you went against Kakashi. There were you, Asuma, Kai, and Obsidian. Lin, Mute, and I were cheering for you on the side. I didn't expect Kakashi to defeat you so easily and graduate early. He became the first Chunin and then the first Jonin." Belle's voice got softer and softer as she recalled her peers who died in the war. Hyojin lightly said, "We are all ninjas. Casualties are inevitable. Don't think too much." Belle collected her thoughts. Yes. After crossing the playground, the two came to the staff office of the ninja school. Seeing the new principal arrive, a group of staff who were working in the office hurriedly got up and bowed to Hyojin, and then began to introduce themselves. Kuroto nodded in acknowledgement while observing his subordinates. Because the ninja school doesn't need to fight directly with the enemy, under normal circumstances, a qualified Chunin is enough to be a teacher in the school. After all, the ninja school trains Genin, and as for the training of Chunin, it is the work of guiding the Jonin. Therefore, almost all the teachers in the office are Chunin 1 ninjas, and many of them are familiar to Hyojin, such as Irika, Mizuki, and so on. To Hyojin's surprise, this guy is also among them, and he is dressed as a teacher in the ninja school. It seems that he has officially become a teacher in the ninja school. Why is he here? What does Orochimaru want to do? At the moment, Danzo is the acting Naruto of the village. Not to mention installing a person in the ninja school, even directly revoking the position of the principal of Hyojin is only a matter of a word. Therefore, it is easy for Danzo to install Orochimaru's subordinate into the ninja school. Therefore, Hyojin is more curious about the purpose of Do entering the ninja school. Temporarily suppressing the doubts in his mind, Hyojin arranged matters related to the admission ceremony to his subordinates in a few days, and then left the office building with Belle. Just as he had expected, Do had followed him. Hyojin gently said to Belle, "Belle, you go back to the hospital first. I still have something to deal with here." Belle knows that Hyojin, who has just been appointed as the principal, must have a lot of things to deal with. So she nodded obediently and left the ninja school alone. At this time, Do leaned over, glanced at Belle's leaving figure, and immediately said to Hyojin, "Senpai, we meet again." Hyojin stared at Do and asked, "What is your purpose in sneaking into the school?" "Hey, if I tell Senpai, wouldn't it make things difficult for Senpai?" Do smiled with a fearless look on his face. Hyojin's eyes were cold, and then his figure suddenly jumped, grabbed Do's neck with his hand and pressed Do against the wall and said calmly and soothingly, "If you dare to talk to me in this tone again, I will kill you." Do, who was grabbed by Hyojin's neck, was shocked. He didn't expect that Hyojin's speed could be so fast. His strength had reached the first stage of Jonin, but he didn't even have the slightest power to resist and was easily subdued. What made him even more frightened was Hyojin's calm tone. He knew that Hyojin was not bluffing to threaten him, but a calm statement of what would happen. If he repeated the tone of speaking to Hyojin just now, he would really die. "Headmaster, I'm very, very sorry." Recognizing the situation, he immediately put away all the disrespect on his face and sincerely apologized to Hyojin. Letting go of Do, Hyojin said, "I don't care what your purpose is. Don't make trouble for me in the ninja school, understand?" Do wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and nodded respectfully, "Yes." This time, his real purpose of entering the ninja school through the arrangement of Danzo was to observe Naruto closely and find the secret of practicing immortal arts from Naruto. When studying Yugo's body, Orochimaru had already realized the power of immortal arts, and Naruto, whom he regarded as an idiot, could actually master the immortal arts of Ryuchi Cave at such a young age, which really surprised him. So he was very eager to find out why Naruto could master immortal arts, and what was the secret behind it. Chapter 578. After returning home, Hyojin found a ninja crow jumping on the balcony of his house. "Is there news?" Hyojin looked happy and went upstairs to remove the small scroll on the ninja crow's leg. This ninja crow is the one that delivered the message to Hyojin and Yonde Mizuki Jigura, and the scroll it carried is undoubtedly related to Dead Ale. But after unlocking the seal and unfolding the scroll, Hyojin slightly frowned. In the scroll, Yagura said that the Umbu of the Mist Village found Dead Ale in the Land of Grass, but because of a moment of carelessness, they were discovered by Dead Ale and lost his trace. However, he has already sent more people, and he believes that it won't be long before they find Dead Ale again. Destroying the scroll, Hyojin smiled and shook his head. "Oh, he really is a troublesome guy." This is the reason why Hyojin is not willing to find Dead Ale in person, because Dead Ale, who cleverly combined the exploding release Kekiai Genkai with the clay molding technique of the Rock Village, is a very versatile ninja. Although he is not old, his mobility, destructive power, and tactical attainments have reached the top level of the shinobi world. As long as he grows up normally, he can steadily enter the Kage level. In the original story, he broke into the Sand Crypsis village alone, and in front of all the Sand Ninjas, he captured the 5th Kazekage of the Sand Crypsis, Gaara, and slapped the Sand Crypsis, one of the 5 great shinobi villages, in the face. At that time, Gaara had reached a preliminary understanding with the one tail in his body, and his strength had also jumped to the Kage level, and he was already worthy of the name of the 5th Kazekage. From this, it can be seen how strong Dead Ale is. To some extent, the threat of Dead Ale is far greater than many members of the Akatsuki. He is a strategic ninja with the ability to destroy a village in one blow. And what is even more troublesome is that Dead Ale is a very rare flying ninja in the shinobi world. If a large number of people are not arranged, it will be very difficult to track him. Seeing that Yagura had already sent more people, Hyojin didn't think too much about it and started to prepare for the entrance ceremony in a few days. 2 days passed in a flash. In the past 2 days, the news of the Uchiha clan being severely cleaned up by the Hyuga clan began to spread in the streets and alleys of the village. Because the 2 clans involved in the incident are the top and most influential shinobi clans in the village. So for a while, the heat of this matter could be compared to the news of the 3 generations stepping down and Danzo becoming the acting Naruto. And as the incident gradually fermented, the Hyuga clansmen also felt proud and elated. The previous discussions that questioned the Hyuga clan was not worthy of the name and only had a superficial appearance disappeared with this incident. The villagers inquired about the protagonist of the incident, Hyojin, while looking forward to the reaction of the Uchiha clan. However, the always arrogant Uchiha clan did not provoke the Hyuga clan again this time. And the villagers who inquired about the deeds of Hyojin were surprised to find that this member of the Hyuga clan named Hyojin also has a record of defeating the Uchiha Shinichi, although that was before the awakening of the man GQ Sharingan by Uchiha Shinichi. It was another early morning. The sun was shining brightly. In the soft morning light, Sasuke, wearing a coat with the Uchiha clan emblem printed on it, followed his father and brother out of the Uchiha clan's land with a smile on his face. Today is the day when he officially enters the school, and he is full of confidence. He is ready to shock everyone and make a name for the Uchiha clan. Fuyue, who was walking in the front, glanced at Sasuke with a straight face and said, "I heard that the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan and the disciple of Hyojin are also in this batch. Sasuke, don't let me down." Although under the persuasion of Jishuei and Itachi, Fuyue did not pursue the matter of the Uchiha clan being injured, but he still had the idea of competing with the Hyuga clan. Sasuke nodded heavily. "Please rest assured, Father, I will definitely become the first in the same batch as my brother." Itachi smiled. "Don't be careless. The students who enter this batch are not simple." Sasuke pouted and said with dissatisfaction, "Brother, why do you always treat me like a child? I've already opened my eyes. I am the strongest among my peers." Itachi rubbed Sasuke's head affectionately. After experiencing the incident of being kidnapped by the Akatsuki, Itachi found that Sasuke has indeed grown a lot. Not only his strength has greatly improved, but also his mentality has matured a lot. Not long after, the three of Uchiha clan came to the gate of the ninja school. At this time, the gate of the ninja school was already crowded with people. Many parents with their children who were about to enter the school arrived here early in the morning. Fuyue just glanced casually and found many acquaintances. The Nara clan, the Yamanaka clan, the Akimichi clan, the Inazuka clan, the Otomo clan, and even the Kurama clan is here. This batch is really different. Although he has long heard that this batch of students is different from the past, such a lineup is still faintly beyond Fuyue's expectation. With so many patriarchs of noble clans gathered together, those who don't know might think that Mai is about to hold a high-level meeting. Suddenly, Fuyue's eyes swept to the side of the Hyuga clan in the distance, and his eyes met with Hyuga Hayashi, who was also looking at him. The eyes of the two patriarchs collided, and immediately sparks flew. Humph! After a light snort, Fuyue moved his eyes away and looked at the two children of the Hyuga family who followed Hayashi and Richa brothers. Is the heir of the Hyuga family such a timid child? The Hyuga clan has really declined. On the contrary, the child from the branch family looks a bit interesting. While Fuyue was looking at Hinata and Ningzi, Hayashi was also looking at Itachi and Sasuke, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Fuyue is really lucky. Both of his sons have unparalleled talent. At this moment, the gate of the ninja school opened, and under the guidance of several school teachers, parents and children gathered in front of the school gate walked into the campus one after another. On the temporary high platform built on the campus playground, 3 generations were smoking pipes and looking at the energetic children walking into the campus with a gratified expression. Next to the 3 generations stood Juan, Xiao, Chun, Tsunade, and Jiraiya, and other senior Mai shinobi. As the disciples of the Mute clan, Hyuga Uchiha Izumi stood behind Tsunade, while Kakashi, dressed in Anbu attire, stood behind Jiraiya. The entire senior Mai clan, except for the acting Naruto Danzo, who is still missing, all the senior members are present. Soon, Hyojin led a group of teachers of the ninja school to the high platform and said to the 3 generations, 3 generations, it's almost time to start the entrance ceremony. 3 generations nodded. Let's start. Poster, share. Chapter 579. On the playground of the ninja school. Looking at Naruto, who was looking around, Red Bean had a helpless look on her face, and she cursed in her heart. Hey, why does the village want me to take care of this little guy? I am not a nanny. At this time, a faint stinging pain suddenly came from her neck. Damn it, it's starting again. Red Bean looked gloomy, and she pressed the mysterious mark composed of 3 ink-colored magatama on her neck with her hand. This mysterious mark was left on her neck by Orochimaru on the night of the attack on the village. She also went to the hospital to ask Tsunade, hoping that Tsunade could use medical ninjutsu to help her remove the mysterious mark left on her neck by Orochimaru. But after some attempts, it was unexpected that even a medical ninja like Tsunade couldn't deal with this mysterious mark and could only seal it temporarily. However, the seal can't completely eliminate the influence of the mysterious mark on her body, and the tingling sensation from time to time on her neck is the best proof. And Naruto, who was next to Red Bean, looked happy at the moment. He didn't care about the 3 generations who were lecturing on the high platform, but he was looking at the other children on the playground. Naruto likes to be lively, and he likes to get together with his peers. Looking at the many familiar and unfamiliar peers on the playground, Naruto was very happy when he thought that everyone will become classmates and friends in the future. Suddenly, Naruto found Sasuke's figure in the crowd. Feeling the hot gaze of Naruto, Sasuke turned his head and found him and nodded slightly to him. Seeing that Sasuke saw himself, Naruto jumped and waved at Sasuke and shouted, "Sasuke, Sasuke!" Naruto's sudden movement quickly attracted the attention of other people around, and everyone looked at Naruto and Sasuke, and their faces were full of doubts. Sasuke, who has always been cool, saw the surprised eyes cast on him, and he quickly bowed his head and covered his face. Naruto is such a big fool. It's a shame to know him. On the high platform, the 3 generations were still instilling the will of fire of my village to the children who were about to enter the school, while Hyojin, the principal of the ninja school, was looking through the files of this year's students while comparing them to the children on the playground. Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, Ningxi, Shikamaru, Chingxi, Ino, Shino, Tion, Shaoli, and Sakura. Hey, the 12 roaches are all here. Hyojin observed these children while making a special mark under the names of these children on the file. Without exception, these children were all very talented. With a little bit of nurturing, they would smoothly grow into powerhouses who could take charge of their own affairs. Then, Hyojin found several other interesting children, such as Ziyuan with a sullen face, Sakai who was holding a small notebook and writing, and Yakumo who was sick and absent-minded. Isn't Sakai from the root? Why did Danzo send him to the ninja school? And that child from the Kurama family, why is her chakra so strange? The strange chakra on Yakumo's body attracted Hyojin's attention. It is a strange in-release chakra, and the quality is very high, almost not inferior to the in-release chakra on the Uchiha clan Sharingan. In the shinobi world, it is not only the 6-path bloodline that can use the in-release. In a long history of evolution, some ordinary ninjas have gradually mastered the in-release or yang release through hard work or some fortuitous encounters. For example, the Nara clan that can control shadows is a secret ninja clan that practices the in-release chakra technique, and the Aikido clan that can multiply their body is a secret ninja clan that practices the yang release chakra technique, and the Aikido clan that can multiply their bodies is a secret ninja clan that practices the yang release chakra technique. However, the use of in-release by ordinary ninjas generally stops at the level of secret technique, and it is very rare in the shinobi world to be able to develop the Kekkai limit with the ability to inherit the bloodline. The most representative of these are the Kusanagi village's Kekkai limit, dragon life reincarnation, that can transfer vitality to resurrect others, and the in-release of my village's Kekkai limit, 5 senses domination, that could distort reality. While Hyojin was secretly observing the students, on the other side of the platform, Jiraiya and Tsunade were also whispering about the students on the field. That yellow-haired kid is Naruto, right? Jiraiya was speechless as he looked at Naruto, who was playing around on the field. Tsunade nodded. Jiraiya asked again, "By the way, have you checked his body?" Orochimaru didn't do anything to him, did he? Because he has been traveling in the shinobi world, looking for the child of prophecy mentioned in the Great Toad Sage's prophecy. Jiraiya, who is often not in the village, didn't pay much attention to Naruto. Now that Naruto, as the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, has become the target of the Akatsuki organization, Jiraiya, who has always been lazy, has no choice but to worry about Naruto's safety. Tsunade replied, I have checked and found nothing. The seal of the Nine Tails has not loosened. Everything is normal. Looking at the careless Naruto, Tsunade always feels like she is looking at her younger brother, so she is still very close to Naruto. After a long time, 3 generations finished the speech about the will of fire, and the entrance ceremony came to a successful end amidst the applause of the crowd. Just as the students left the field one after another, Naruto stopped Sasuke and announced loudly, Sasuke, I want to challenge you. Sasuke looked at Naruto as if he was looking at a fool and said impatiently, Naruto, don't make trouble. I am different from before. I have learned immortal jutsu. With his hands on his waist, Naruto continued, Sasuke, I have surpassed you, haha. Sasuke was stunned. Immortal jutsu? What is that? Not only Sasuke, but other people in the field also showed a puzzled look, and the children gathered around, looking forward to the challenge between Naruto and Sasuke. So far, there are only a few people in the ninja world who can master immortal jutsu. Even Jiraiya has to rely on the assistance of the 2 Toad Masters to enter this Sage mode, so immortal jutsu is not a concept that everyone in the ninja world knows. On the high platform, Jiraiya raised his eyebrows after hearing Naruto's words. Naruto has learned immortal jutsu? Tsunade on the side was also very surprised. This kid must be talking nonsense. Chapter 580. Feeling the attention of the children around him, Naruto, who had always been excluded and isolated, felt extremely proud. This was the highlight that he had been dreaming of. At this time, he gave himself a thumbs up and announced loudly, Listen up, I, Uzumaki Naruto, will become Naruto's man in the future. In an instant, the surrounding area was silent. Ha ha ha. The silence was quickly broken, and the parents and children who had recovered from their shock were suddenly overjoyed. Sasuke covered his face, not wanting to admit that he knew Naruto at all. On the high platform in the distance, the 3 generations, who had pipes in their mouths, shook their heads helplessly. Jiraiya said to Tsunade, I didn't expect this kid to have the heart to become Naruto, just like Minato. Tsunade looked at Naruto in silence. Whether it was her younger brother Jashu or her lover Kato Duan, they were all the same as Naruto. They all had the heart to become Naruto, but unfortunately, they all fell on the battlefield and fell on the road to becoming Naruto. Among the laughing crowd, only Hinata's eyes were shining, and she looked at Naruto with admiration. She firmly believed that Naruto would definitely become Naruto. Naruto didn't care about the ridicule of the people around him. He wanted to prove himself to everyone with his strength. So he looked at Sasuke seriously and said, Sasuke, please accept my challenge. Sasuke glanced at Naruto and said coolly, Naruto, even if you really learn some magic, you're no match for me. In front of my Sharingan, you have no chance of winning. That's not it. With that, Naruto put his palms together and tried to enter immortal mode. He firmly believes that Kishimaheim of the Ryuchi Cave did not lie to him. In the Sage mode, he is definitely the strongest among his peers, and he will definitely be able to defeat Sasuke, who has the Sharingan. Seeing how serious Naruto was, Sasuke became a little more serious, and the black pupils in his eyes turned scarlet. Besides Sasuke, Fuyue was still wearing a poker face. Itachi, on the other hand, was looking at Naruto curiously. He had heard of immortal spells. He had seen Jiraiya in immortal mode on the battlefield, so he knew the power of immortal spells. The onlookers also stopped laughing at this moment and looked at Naruto expectantly or curiously. On the high platform, Jiraiya looked serious because he faintly felt that Naruto was brimming with natural energy. On the other side of the high platform, Hyojin narrowed his eyes. He knew that Naruto did have the qualifications to practice immortal spells, but it was reasonable to say that Naruto had no way to practice immortal spells at this time. For a moment, whether they believed it or not, everyone's eyes were focused on Naruto, the child who was clamoring to become Naruto. Puff! Just when everyone thought that Naruto could really use some immortal spells, Naruto, who had been holding it in for a long time, only let out a smelly fart. Yeah, how could this be? Naruto was confused. In order to prepare for today's challenge with Sasuke, he did not sleep at all last night. He suppressed his temper and sat on the bed to absorb natural energy all night. It was not until dawn that he could not help but take a nap for a while. He thought that the natural energy he absorbed was enough to enter immortal mode, but after a try, he found that he still could not enter immortal mode. This idiot! Pursing his lips, Sasuke ignored Naruto and turned to leave. It was not easy for him to summon up the courage to challenge Sasuke. Naturally, Naruto would not let Sasuke go just like that. Therefore, he did not care much and rushed toward Sasuke while shouting. Strolling toward the gate of the ninja school, Sasuke put his hands in his trouser pockets and did not seem to notice Naruto, who was rushing toward him from behind. Just when Naruto was about to pounce on him, he suddenly flashed and cleverly moved behind Naruto, kicked Naruto down, and then stepped on Naruto's back. He looked around at the crowd of classmates and said, "All attacks are ineffective against my Sharingan. I, Uchiha Sasuke, am the strongest in this year." After that, Sasuke, with his hands still in his trouser pockets, followed his father and brother and walked toward the gate of the ninja school. Naruto climbed up from the ground unwillingly. Just now, Sasuke's action was too fast for him to react. The children around didn't laugh at Naruto at this moment because Sasuke's performance was far beyond their expectations. Just like Naruto, they also didn't react. In the crowd, Ningxi looked solemn. Sasuke's speed is a lot faster than before, and his insight seems to be improving. He is really an opponent that can't be underestimated. Shikamaru scratched his head. Hey, it seems that there are a lot of troublesome guys in this batch. So I took a small notebook and wrote and drew. With just a few strokes, he vividly showed the scene of Sasuke knocking down Naruto. Yakumo came to Sai's side and looked at Sai's drawing with interest. Shally clenched her fist and looked at Sasuke's back as he gradually left. She listed him as her goal to catch up with. Sakura and Ino were attracted by the handsome Sasuke and looked at Sasuke as if they were infatuated with him. Seeing that everyone's eyes were attracted by Sasuke, Naruto was anxious and annoyed. He thought hard about how he could beat Sasuke. Hey, how could I forget? I also know psychic arts. Suddenly remembering that he also knew psychic arts, Naruto hurriedly bit his finger and prepared to summon his psychic beast Shinya to fight with Sasuke. At this moment, a hand pressed on Naruto's shoulder and said, "Naruto, this is a school." Naruto looked back and found that the one who pressed his shoulder was the pharmacist Do, who took him to the Ryuchi cave to practice immortal arts. So he said in surprise, "Brother Do, how come you're also in the ninja school?" Do pointed to his uniform and said with a smile, "I will be your teacher from now on." Naruto's face was full of joy. That's great. At this time, Do moved closer to Naruto's ear and whispered, "Don't mess around. If you summon Shinya here, you will hurt other students." Only then did Naruto remember Exainya's big head. He scratched his head in embarrassment and said, "I forgot." Looking at the insensitive Naruto, Do was also speechless. Before, he had repeatedly told Naruto not to reveal immortal arts in the village. He never thought that as soon as he returned to the village, Naruto would talk about immortal arts. In the distance, Hyojin, who was watching the scene, was in deep thought. Naruto just bit his finger to use psychic arts? Why did Do stop him? Did Do enter the ninja school not for Sasuke, but for Naruto? Chapter 581. Root Base. In the dimly lit secret meeting room, Danzo, wearing Naruto's bamboo hat and Naruto's robe, sat on the main seat in the meeting room. His expression was that of a superior. On the other side of the triangular table sat Orochimaru and Hyojin, who was riding on his fire release clone and dressed in the fire demon attire of Amatsukami. This was the first secret meeting between the three of them after Danzo succeeded in becoming Mai's substitute Naruto. At this time, Danzo stared at Orochimaru with a cold gaze and asked in a dignified tone, "Orochimaru, what's the deal with Nine-Tails Human Jinchuriki? What did you do to him?" Although he did not personally attend the entrance ceremony yesterday, after becoming the substitute Naruto, everything that happened in the village could not escape Danzo's surveillance. Unlike the others, Danzo did not take Naruto's claim that he had learned the mystical arts as a joke. Therefore, he questioned Orochimaru the moment they met. Hyojin, who was wearing a flame-patterned mask, also looked at Orochimaru. However, under the mask, his expression was very calm. When he realized that Naruto might have learned the mystical arts when he was kidnapped by Orochimaru, Hyojin went to look for Hinata, who was kidnapped together with Naruto. At first, Hinata did not want to reveal Naruto's secret. However, the little girl could not withstand Hyojin's persuasion. When Hyojin took the initiative to mention the 3 words Ryuchi Cave, she told him about their experience in the Ryuchi Cave with a surprised face. When he learned that Naruto had really learned the mystical arts in the Ryuchi Cave, Hyojin was also surprised, because both the time when Naruto practiced the mystical arts and the place where Naruto practiced the mystical arts were completely different from the original time and space. In the original time and space, Naruto learned the mystical arts when pain attacked Mai. At that time, Naruto was already 16 or 17 years old, and he was practicing the mystical arts of Mount Maiboku. While feeling surprised, Hyojin gradually became vigilant. This change showed that his influence on the space-time was getting more and more serious. It was very difficult for him to refer to the original space-time for what would happen in the future. Therefore, he could no longer limit his thinking with fixed ideas and affect his own judgment. Facing Danzo's question, Orochimaru just shrugged and said, "It was just a small accident." A small accident? Danzo frowned and stared at Orochimaru gloomily, waiting for his further explanation. Orochimaru glanced at Danzo. There was no doubt that after becoming the substitute Naruto, Danzo's power had increased a lot, and the sense of oppression was also stronger than before. Even Orochimaru could not completely ignore it. After weighing the pros and cons, Orochimaru explained half-truthfully, "In order to avoid the Akatsuki's pursuit, my men brought Naruto into a secret realm by mistake. In that secret realm, Naruto seemed to have encountered something." Secret realm? Danzo narrowed his eyes and looked at Orochimaru while asking, "Did Naruto really learn the immortal arts?" All the previous questions were just for this one sentence. The only thing Danzo really cared about was whether Naruto really learned the immortal arts, and whether he could find the way to master the immortal arts for Naruto. Orochimaru smiled and looked at Danzo playfully. Bang! Danzo suddenly slammed the conference table and said angrily, "Orochimaru, answer this old man's question." Hyojin said calmly, "If Naruto really mastered the immortal arts, he would not have been defeated by Sasuke. Your question is unnecessary." Orochimaru glanced at Hyojin and nodded. If the immortal arts were so easy to practice, Jiraiya would not have to communicate with the 2 Toad Masters before entering the Sage Mode. Because of the several battles, Jiraiya could enter the Sage Mode, which was no longer a secret among the upper echelons of the Mai. Every time Jiraiya entered the Sage Mode, he must communicate with the 2 Toad Masters. Danzo glanced coldly at Hyojin and Orochimaru. "You'd better not play tricks with this old man." Deep in his heart, Danzo did not actually believe that a young boy could master the immortal arts, but his personality of controlling everything made him used to meddling in everything. Seeing that Danzo's suspicion was temporarily dispelled, Hyojin and Orochimaru looked at each other quietly, then withdrew their gazes. Whether Naruto had learned the immortal arts or not, Hyojin did not want Danzo to be distracted by other things at this time. He needed Danzo to be honest and be his lab rat, so he covered for Orochimaru this time. However, judging from Danzo's current performance, he succeeded in becoming the acting Naruto, which made him a little carried away. At this time, Danzo said to Orochimaru, "The recent dispute between the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan in the village, you should have heard about it, right? If this old man didn't guess wrong, that Hyojin should be one of your people, right?" Orochimaru's face was gloomy and did not answer. Hyojin's eyes were cold, but fortunately, there was a mask to cover it, so no one noticed the slight change in his expression. Danzo said leisurely, defeating 8 members of the Uchiha police force at once. The strength of this Hyojin is somewhat beyond this old man's expectation, and he also has the trust of the Hyzen. Orochimaru, I didn't expect you to have such a trump card hidden in the village. Orochimaru said, What do you want to say? Danzo glanced at Orochimaru and said in a commanding tone, My belongs to this old man. This old man will never allow the position of the headmaster of the ninja school to be in the hands of a spy, so tell your men to resign from the position of headmaster. Hyojin's face turned cold. He actually doesn't care about the position of the headmaster of the ninja school, but Danzo's arrogance made him a little disgusted. Obviously, he is just an acting Naruto, and even his portrait hasn't been engraved on the Naruto rock. At this time, instead of thinking about how to win over allies and consolidate his unstable position, he is eager to declare his power to his partners. This short-sighted behavior is simply stupid, and such an inflated mentality is even more disgusting. Orochimaru took a deep look at Danzo and immediately shook his head. I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Hyojin and I have no relationship for a long time, and I don't have the ability to order him to do anything. Orochimaru, this is not a discussion, but an order. Danzo held the Naruto hat on his head and said, This old man will give you at most 1 month. No matter what method you use, I hope that after 1 month, Hyojin's resignation report will appear on this old man's desk. Chapter 582. At this moment, Danzo seemed to have completely put himself in the shoes of Naruto, commanding Orochimaru with the tone of a superior, and even glancing provocatively at Hyojin, who attended the meeting as Homusubi from Amatsukami. Almost at the same time, Hyojin and Orochimaru's faces darkened. Although it was expected that after becoming the acting Hokage, Shimura Danzo would inevitably become arrogant, but no one expected that this guy would be so arrogant to such an extent. Simply unreasonable. This old man is now Naruto. You should understand what this means. Danzo didn't care about Orochimaru and Hyojin's reaction, and as he spoke, his face showed a disgusting expression of I am the center. Everything must revolve around me. Hyojin looked at Danzo and sneered. Tisk, it seems that it's impossible to make this idiot whose ambition and strength don't match up obediently as a lab rat. We must speed up the progress of the experiment, or else if we let this guy be Naruto's proxy for a while longer, God knows what kind of trouble he will cause. Hyojin faintly felt that Danzo was a little out of control, so he must speed up the progress of the experiment and get rid of this trouble as soon as possible. At this time, Orochimaru's face darkened, and without showing any weakness, he met Danzo's gaze and chuckled. Danzo, have you forgotten that I've long been a traitorous ninja? Naruto can't control me. Danzo suddenly stood up and shouted, Orochimaru. Orochimaru, who was still sitting in his seat, grinned and said, What? Do you want to fight me here? Hyojin was speechless and could only use the tone of a member of Amatsukami to warn Danzo. Danzo, I know that the victory over 3 generations Naruto has given you some inexplicable confidence, but I hope that you can understand that the one sitting in this room is not your enemy, nor is he your subordinate. We are partners, so please put away your Naruto style. Not to mention in the shinobi world, the name Naruto has long been useless. You. Danzo glared at Hyojin, but seeing the flame mask on Hyojin's face and thinking about the powerful Amatsukami behind Homusubi, Danzo didn't lose his temper in the end. Whether it is Amatsukami, Akatsuki, or Orochimaru, all of you just wait for this old man. This old man will step on all of you like a bug and eliminate all of you one by one. After secretly swearing in his heart, Danzo sat back, and the aura around his body became more and more gloomy. Ignoring the cold, murderous intent coming from Danzo, Hyojin asked, Let's get back to the topic at hand. Is the Kekai Genkai task completed? Danzo replied, How could such a trivial matter be a problem for this old man? Hyojin gently nodded. Very good. So, the preliminary preparations are all completed. The next step is to choose the location for the Kekai Genkai ceremony. Since it is related to his own Kekai Genkai ceremony, Danzo reluctantly put away his antagonistic emotions and asked, "Do you have any suggestions about the location?" Hyojin directly said, "Because the proportion of water attribute chakra in the Kekai Genkai ceremony you chose is too high. In order to balance this point, there aren't many places for us to choose from. Either the lava cave or the yellow desert. If we choose the lava cave, the suppression effect on water attribute chakra will be the best, but it will be difficult to use the power of the star constellation like Hiriko. But if we choose the yellow desert, as long as the terrain is high enough, we can barely use the power of the star constellation, but the suppression effect on water attribute chakra will be correspondingly weaker." Danzo's eyes flickered. Which one is safer? The lava cave. After a pause, Hyojin explained, "In the Kekai Genkai ceremony, the balance between the various attributes of chakra is always the key." Orochimaru also echoed, "Hiriko can only use the power of the star constellation because his chakra is insufficient. You are Naruto, so the problem of chakra won't bother you. The chakra transmission technology between ninjas is not a high-end technology for the 5 great shinobi villages. According to the intelligence, Kumo Village is secretly developing a giant energy cannon with hundreds of ninjas supplying chakra. So even if Shimura Danzo doesn't have enough chakra, he can easily mobilize hundreds or thousands of Konoha ninjas to provide him with a steady supply of chakra through special equipment. So, even if Shimura Danzo doesn't have enough chakra, he can easily mobilize hundreds or thousands of Konoha ninjas to provide him with a steady supply of chakra." Danzo nodded and took out a map of the shinobi world. All the lava caves on the map are marked with a red pen. It can be seen that Danzo has already begun to research and select the location of the Kekai Genkai ceremony. Pointing to a lava cave in the northern part of the Land of Fire, near the Land of Thunder, Danzo said, "This lava cave, this old man has already sent people to survey. Everything is in line with the standard, and it is also in the territory of the Land of Fire. It is convenient for us to mobilize manpower, and it is also easier to conceal the location." Hyojin thought to himself, "So, Danzo has already chosen the location. Humph, it seems that he has never relaxed his guard against me and Orochimaru." Orochimaru is obviously aware of this, and his face showed a disdainful expression. In fact, whether it is Hyojin or Orochimaru, they will not deliberately trick Danzo during the Kekai Genkai ceremony, because even if they do their best, the probability of Danzo surviving the Kekai Genkai ceremony is very low. So there's no need for them to play tricks. What they really need is the data of Danzo during the Kekai Genkai ceremony. Also, through the Kekai Genkai ceremony of Danzo, to prove whether the improvement of the Chimera technique is effective, whether the arrangement of the ceremony is reasonable, and so on. Danzo then said, "In 2 weeks, this old man will be able to complete the arrangement of the ceremony." Orochimaru smiled and said, "If you want to further improve your success rate, I suggest that you accept my body transformation, and that very interesting arm you recently obtained can also improve the strength of your body. I suggest that you replace that arm with your current arm before the Kekai Genkai fusion ceremony." Orochimaru Sedanzo was a little hesitant. "This old man needs to think about it." "Then you better think about it as soon as possible." After a pause, Orochimaru explained, "After accepting the body transformation, the body needs a period of recovery. So the earlier the transformation, the faster you can carry out the Kekai Genkai ceremony." Hyojin also didn't want Danzo to continue to delay, so he said, "You better complete the Kekai Genkai ceremony before the Akatsuki organization makes their next move. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to sit in the position of Naruto for long." Danzo stood up, walked out of the meeting room, and said, "This old man will give you an answer as soon as possible." Chapter 583. After the Danzo left, Hyojin and Orochimaru also left the meeting room. Walking side by side in the dark passage of the base, the two of them were silent. Only the sound of their footsteps echoed in the quiet and empty base. Not long after, the two of them passed through the secret passage that connected to the outside of the village and came to a small forest outside of Mai. At this time, Orochimaru smiled and said, "The Danzo has gone out of control. The second Sama really has a good eye. The Danzo's tolerance and style can't bear the name of Naruto." Hyojin slightly tilted his head and glanced at Orochimaru. "A man about to die. Bear with it." Orochimaru looked at Hyojin with interest. "I'm surprised that Amatsukami can tolerate the Danzo to this extent. Now I believe that one of you really wants to become a god." Hyojin did not deny it. "It's not a secret. Is it your leader, Yama?" After a short pause, Orochimaru asked in confusion, "But isn't a strong person at his level considered a god? I'm curious. What is it that he is after? Can the Chimera technique really give him what he wants?" Hyojin said lightly, "You ask too many questions." Orochimaru smiled. "My thirst for knowledge has always been strong." Hyojin asked in return, "Then why can you tolerate the Danzo? Being able to participate in this plan to create a god is my biggest goal." Looking back at Konoha village not far away, Orochimaru said with some emotion, "I used to think about destroying Konoha in front of the old man, destroying the village he cherishes with my own hands. But now I don't care about that anymore. There's only one thing I really care about, and that is eternal life. This is also my pursuit," Hyojin said in his heart. A few days later, in the headmaster's office of the ninja school, Kuroto leisurely sat on an armchair, flipping through the Ghost Lantern Clan's water release secret technique that he had obtained from the Mist secret technique archive. His brows were sometimes furrowed, and sometimes he was smiling. At the moment, all his plans are moving forward in an orderly manner. The Danzo who ascended to the position of Naruto doesn't trust anyone, so the preparations for the Kekkei Jinkai fusion ceremony are in his hands. Others can't interfere at all, so Hyojin naturally doesn't need to worry about this. As for Dead Ale, the Umbu of the Mist Village is still searching for him. It's just that this guy is wandering in the shinobi world without any clear purpose, and he also has the ability to fly with high maneuverability, so it's not easy to find his trail. Therefore, this matter can't be rushed, so he can only wait for the news from the Mist Village with peace of mind. Therefore, with a short period of free time, Hyojin began to study the secret technique of the Ghost Lantern Clan. This was also because the strength of his wind escape doppelganger, which had both the bone meridian and magnetic escape bloodline limits, had far exceeded his expectations. The average strength of the doppelgangers was pulled up by a lot, causing him to have no choice but to further increase the strength of the water escape doppelganger so that the strength of each doppelganger could be balanced again. After seriously studying the secret technique of the Ghost Lantern Clan, even the current Hyojin has to admit that the water technique of the Ghost Lantern Clan is indeed unique. For example, the water transformation technique that can turn part of the body into water or even completely water. This water technique can almost double the combat power of the clansmen of the Ghost Lantern Clan in an environment with abundant water. Second Mizukage Jinjutsu is proficient in the water cannon technique, oil slide technique, and water balloon technique, which cover the various fields of attack, defense, and mobility. As for the vaporized danger burst technique, it is so powerful that even Second Mizukage, who has mastered the dust release, finds it difficult to deal with. It can be said that as long as Hyojin grasps the secret technique of the Ghost Lantern Clan, the strength of his water release clone will greatly increase, and he will be able to catch up to his wind release clone. However, although the Ghost Lantern Clan isn't a Kekkei ninja clan in the traditional sense, their physique is extraordinary. If one doesn't possess the bloodline of the Ghost Lantern Clan, it would be extremely difficult for them to practice their bizarre water release techniques. Fortunately, Hyojin's water release clone has fused with Haku's cells, and the ice release Snow Clan, which Haku belongs to, has a very close relationship with the Ghost Lantern Clan. The two clans have had many marriages in history, so in theory, Hyojin's water release clone also has the aptitude to practice the water techniques of the Ghost Lantern Clan. Knock, knock, knock. Just as Hyojin was engrossed in studying the water techniques of the Ghost Lantern Clan, someone knocked on the door of the principal's office. "Come in." As Hyojin spoke, he put away the secret technique scroll in his hand. Soon, Irika and Shuei Mu walked into the principal's office together. Glancing at the frowning Irika, Hyojin asked, "What's wrong?" Irika handed a report to Hyojin and said helplessly, "Principal, this is already the 9th time today. It's all my fault for not supervising, and it has affected the normal teaching of the school. Please punish me." Hyojin flipped open the report, glanced at it, and immediately said happily, "Naruto challenged Sasuke 5 times, Lila challenged Sasuke twice, you challenged Sasuke once, and even Ding Ci challenged Sasuke once." Needless to say, after Sasuke's arrogant declaration of being the #1 in his cohort during the entrance ceremony, there were naturally students who were unconvinced and challenged him after the school term started. However, Sasuke wasn't bragging. All the students who challenged him were easily defeated by him, and among them, Naruto lost the most times. And this made everyone feel that Naruto's previous statement about learning immortal jutsu was just a boast. However, Hyojin knows that Naruto really entered one of the 3 secret places of the shinobi world, Ryuchi Cave. Not only did he sign a psychic contract with a great snake named Shinya, but he was also recognized by the White Snake Sage in the Ryuchi Cave by Heimaheim, acknowledging that he mastered the immortal jutsu of the Ryuchi Cave. Therefore, Naruto must have entered Sage Mode. As for why Naruto can't enter Sage Mode now, the reason is actually very easy to find. Firstly, because the concentration of nature energy in the shinobi world is much lower than in the Ryuchi Cave secret land. So the difficulty of entering Sage Mode in the shinobi world is obviously higher than in the Ryuchi Cave secret land. Second, Naruto is too eager to win, so he has lost his natural peace, and entering Sage Mode is even more difficult. On the side, Shuemu said, "Principal, I am also responsible for this matter. Please don't punish Irika." Hyojin glanced at Shuemu and smiled. Apart from the pocket, this blue-haired, somewhat handsome guy with a gloomy temperament is the real spy that Orochimaru planted in the ninja school. Chapter 584. Standing quietly by the window of the headmaster's office, Hyojin looked down at the playground below. At this moment, Sasuke was standing in the middle of the playground with his arms crossed over his chest, while Naruto was sitting on the side, rubbing his buttocks and muttering something. Obviously, Naruto challenged Sasuke again. "Naruto, this child," Hyojin smiled and shook his head. Before, when Irika reported to him that the students frequently fought in private, he didn't blame Irika for his lack of supervision. On the contrary, he told Irika not to restrain the students too much in this regard. After all, the ninja school teaches ninjas, and it's not a bad thing to let the students maintain a certain degree of competitive relationship. The current shinobi world is not as stable as the original world. In the original world, the Akatsuki organization was still dormant during this period and didn't make any big moves, and some years have passed since the Third Shinobi War. So Mai, who is far away from the threat of war, doesn't have any sense of crisis, so the atmosphere in the school is mainly relaxed, and the number of students entering each term is decreasing year by year. But in the original world, the village has just experienced a catastrophe, and the culprit is still hiding in the shinobi world, so the threat of war has never been far away from Mai. Letting the children understand the cruelty of the shinobi world as soon as possible is the real responsible behavior for them. Otherwise, once they encounter a strong enemy, they will be like flowers in a greenhouse, weak and fragile. Of course, it was also very particular about how to grasp the appropriate degree of propriety. Just like the Mist Village, giving their village the nickname of Blood Mist Village, endlessly promoting blood and cruelty, encouraging the ninjas of the same village to kill each other, causing the village to have rebellions and coups every few days. That would be too stupid. Thinking about this, Hyojin's eyes fell on Sasuke. The scene of Sasuke knocking down Naruto was seen by him, whether his speed, strength, or skill. For this age, Sasuke is impeccable. What amazing growth! If I was at this age, I would also be beaten by this kid. Sasuke's progress is so dazzling that even Hyojin can't help but feel a little emotional. Sasuke, you can do it! Sasuke, you can do it! As Naruto climbed up from the ground again, the cheers of the girls immediately resounded throughout the playground. Sasuke's handsome appearance, coupled with his noble family background, is simply a fatal attraction to the little girls. At this moment, more than half of the girls gathered on the playground are cheering for Sasuke. This obviously caused the boys to feel the same hatred. They all cheered for Naruto, hoping that Naruto could avenge them. Only Neji stood far away, silently observing Sasuke. At present, it seems that Sasuke's strength should be unique compared with him. Ningxi is obviously inferior, and the other children are not at the same level as them. Without considering Naruto, after a few days of observation, Hyojin had a rough assessment of the students. At this time, Koho, who was one of the village advisory elders, led 3 children into the school with Takagi, Shinobu on their heads. Looking at the girl with short cyan hair, dark skin, and a somewhat familiar face, Hyojin's eyes narrowed, and he thought, "Hey, isn't that the 7-tailed Jinchuriki of the Takeganami village?" After a while, Zhuan Xiaochun left the 3 children of the Takeganami village outside Hyojin's office and entered the office alone. Handing a document to Hyojin, Zhuan Xiaochun said, "From today on, these 3 children of the Takeganami village will study in our Mai's ninja school. You have to take good care of them. In addition, the identity of Fu is confidential, and only you are allowed to know it. You are not allowed to reveal it to other people in the ninja school." Hyojin nodded. Zhuan Xiaochun is so serious. Kuroto doesn't need to compare the information in his hand to determine that this girl with short cyan hair named Fu is the 7-tailed Jinchuriki of the Takeganami village. It's just that the sudden appearance of the Jinchuriki of the Takeganami village surprised him. Seeing that Hyojin's performance is much calmer than he expected, Zhuan Xiaochun nodded with satisfaction and immediately told the whole story to Hyojin. The matter of the Akatsuki organization hunting tailed beasts has long been known by the 5 great shinobi villages. Apart from the 5 great shinobi villages, only the Takeganami village has a tailed beast, but the strength of the Takeganami village is not enough to resist the attack of the Akatsuki organization. Therefore, in order to prevent the 7-tailed Jinchuriki of the Takeganami village from being captured by the Akatsuki organization, the 3 generations sent Zhuan Xiaochun to the Takeganami village, hoping that the Takeganami village can send the 7-tailed Jinchuriki to Mai and let Mai be responsible for protecting them. Regarding Mai's proposal, a fierce debate broke out in the Takeganami village. But the threat of the Akatsuki organization is too great, and the Takeganami village's senior management simply doesn't have the confidence to protect the safety of their Jinchuriki. So after a stalemate, the Takeganami village finally made a compromise and sent a ninja team composed of 3 children to Mai in the name of learning exchange, and the 7-tailed Jinchuriki is hidden in this team. In other words, the only important person is Fu. As for the other 2 children, they are just tools to cover up Fu's identity. After pondering for a while, Hyojin asked, "Is the state of the 7-tailed Jinchuriki stable?" An unstable Jinchuriki is no different from a bomb. Because Gaara often goes on a rampage in the San Crypsis village, his father, the 4 generations of Kazekage, had to issue an order to execute him. If Fu's state is unstable, then leaving her in the village will be a huge risk for Mai. Zhuan Xiaochun nodded and said, "Don't worry. Fu is very talented. She has never gone on a rampage in the Takeganami village, so there shouldn't be any problem. Moreover, Jishui is in the school. If she goes on a rampage, you can ask Jishui to temporarily restrain her with a Manjikyu Sharingan." Northwest of the Land of Fire, an Umbu of the Mist village pointed to the distance and said, "Captain, is that the target in front?" The captain of the Mist village nodded and said, "Height, age, hair color, and hairstyle all match the description. That guy should be our target, Deadale of the Rock village." The Umbu of the Mist village was puzzled and asked, "Captain, where is he going?" The captain of the Mist village looked at the map of the Land of Fire that he carried with him and immediately frowned and said, "He is going in this direction. Is he going to the fire temple? Captain, let's follow him. We will lose him if we go any further." The Umbu of the Mist Village was about to get up. The captain quickly grabbed him and pulled him back. "Don't mess around. The target is very vigilant and dangerous. We just need to follow him from a distance." Late at night, Hyojin, who was at home, received a scroll from a ninja crow. He opened it and grinned. The fire temple. Chapter 585. Hey, didn't I hear a sound just now? Carrying a lantern, a monk of the fire temple muttered. His companion on the side carefully looked around the quiet temple and whispered, "It should be a small animal. Didn't a squirrel wander in before? Is that so? Let's go back." While talking, the two monks respectfully saluted the Buddha statue sitting on the main seat of the temple and then quietly left the temple. When the monks went far away, the light of the lantern gradually dimmed, leaving only the flickering candlelight on the candlestick in the temple. At this time, a shadow steadily fell from the beam to the ground. Lingering in front of the sculptures, the shadow couldn't help but praise, "What a pleasing art, The shadow that sneaked into the fire temple is undoubtedly Dedale. Wandering in the shinobi world, if there is any purpose, it is to find art that can move him, and this is also the reason why he sneaked into the fire temple." Stroking the bronze sculptures, looking at the ferocious and terrifying Wisdom King, or the kind and peaceful Buddha, Dedale suddenly became interested and quickly reached into the ninja bag on his waist. Using a mass of white explosive clay, he pinched out a lifelike Wisdom King and Buddha clay puppet. Holding a pile of explosive clay puppets in his palm, Dedale looked at the sculptures in the temple and said, "Art that can explode is imperfect art. Let me sublimate you." After saying that, Dedale threw a pile of explosive clay puppets in his hand around. The white clay puppets drew an arc in the air, and under the illumination of the flickering candlelight, the shadows projected on the wall looked like a group of demons dancing in the air. In the flickering light, the corners of Dedale's mouth rose, and he made a hand seal. Ha! Boom! 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 In an instant, the roar resounded through the night sky, and the violent explosion almost instantly drowned the hall. In the soaring red light, the entire fire temple became red. "What's going on? Is it an enemy attack? Quickly put out the fire! Quickly put out the fire!" For a time, terrified cries and hurried shouts rose and fell. The originally tranquil and peaceful fire temple was suddenly plunged into a hubbub. The monks rushed out of their respective houses in groups. Some picked up sticks to patrol the area, while others carried wooden buckets to help put out the fire. Amidst the bustling crowd, the number one expert of the fire temple, Di Lu, frowned as he scanned the surroundings with his sharp eyes. Very soon, in an inconspicuous place in the temple, Earthworm found a footprint that was obviously different from that of the monks in the temple. "This is Humph." As expected, a thief has sneaked into the temple. Di Lu's face darkened. He followed the footprints and disappeared from the temple in a flash. In the forest outside the fire temple, he turned around and glanced at the soaring flames behind him. He had already left the fire temple, but he was still immersed in the joy brought about by the explosion. Swish, accompanied by the sound of breaking wind, a monk of the fire temple suddenly appeared in front of Dedale. He was Di Lu, who had followed the footprints. Without waiting for Dedale to ask, Di Lu asked, "Who are you? Why did you commit such a crime in the fire temple?" Dedale shrugged his shoulders and said, "I was just appreciating the art." "Appreciating the art?" Di Lu was startled and immediately said angrily, "Don't tell me blowing up the temple is also appreciating the art? Don't quibble anymore, just give up." Dedale said as if it was a matter of course. "Of course, explosions are art." Looking at Dedale's indifferent expression, Di Lu, who had once served as the daimyo of the fire country, felt a little uneasy from the bottom of his heart. So he said loudly, "I will never let a dangerous person like you run amok in the fire country." After saying that, Di Lu clasped his hands together and his body exuded an indescribable aura. "Do you also want to see my art?" "Yes." Dedale smiled as he inserted his hands into the ninja bag on his waist. Lu said with regret, "I'm sorry, I can't control the power of this move. If you die in my hands, I will send you to the afterlife in front of the Buddha." With the eruption of Lu's chakra, a phantom of a bodhisattva was projected from his body. Feeling the tranquil chakra emanating from Lu's body, Dedale stopped what he was doing and was a bit absent-minded for a moment. He murmured, "So beautiful. What ninjutsu is this?" Seeing Dedale stop what he was doing, Lu didn't rush to launch an attack. Instead, he slowly explained, "This is the immortal talent that only monks of the Fire Temple can practice." Immortal talent is a unique practice technique of the Fire Temple. Its essence is to combine the chakra in the ninja's body with the natural energy scattered in the air. Therefore, the immortal talent of the Fire Temple can, to a certain extent, be regarded as a branch of the immortal technique. In other words, it is a relatively shallow use of natural energy. Although the efficiency of the immortal talent of the Fire Temple is far inferior to the immortal technique of the three secret realms of Mount Mayaboku, Ryuchi Cave, and Shikatsu Forest in terms of the use of natural energy, and it can't make the monks of the Fire Temple enter the immortal mode that truly transcends the mortal and immortal world. However, it also truly uses natural energy. Therefore, Lu, who mastered the immortal talent, was valued by the daimyo of the Land of Fire and was selected as the famous 12 guardian ninja warriors. After staring at Lu for a long time, Dedale slowly said, "So, this is the real art of the Fire Temple. But what's missing?" What is missing?" Lu's brows wrinkled even tighter. He felt that he and Dedale weren't on the same channel and couldn't communicate at all. At this time, Dedale took out 2 balls of explosive clay from the ninja bag on his waist and said, "Thank you for showing me your art. Now, I will let you see my art." Looking at Dedale, who was immersed in his own narcissism, Lu suddenly thought of something and said in surprise, "Are you the traitorous ninja of the Rock Village? Dedale, who committed crimes everywhere in the shinobi world?" Dedale muttered, "Have you heard of me?" Lu's expression became more dignified. "Give up resistance. I will give you a fair trial." Dedale threw the primordial clay in his hand. In an instant, the primordial clay on the ground swelled up and turned into strange primordial clay dolls that flew towards the ground in all directions. Upon seeing this, Lu no longer hesitated and shouted in a low voice, "Come on, 1,000 hands kill." In an instant, the bodhisattva phantom behind Lu turned into an angry wisdom king. And at the same time, countless phantom fists flew out and hit all the clay puppets that were rushing towards him. Lu said indifferently, "These are useless against me. Just surrender." "Kacha!" Lu's voice had just fallen when the soil under his feet cracked open, and then an explosive centipede broke out of the ground and quickly entangled Lu. Dedale showed a smile as if he had succeeded, and his hands also formed hand seals. Chapter 586. At this moment, Dedale felt that the whole world had turned scarlet, and the bright crescent moon hanging high in the night sky had also turned into a red full moon. Illusion? Dedale was taken aback. He immediately wanted to make a hand seal, but he was shocked to find that his body seemed to be nailed by several huge iron nails, and he couldn't move at all. With a light snort, Hyojin, who was wearing a flame-patterned mask, walked out of the woods. After receiving a message from the Ninja Crow and learning that Dedale might go to the Fire Temple, he immediately sneaked out of the village and flew all the way. Disregarding the cost of Chakra's consumption, he spent a whole day rushing to the Fire Temple and happened to see the scene of the fight between Terra and Dedale. Fortunately, he arrived in time. Otherwise, Terra, one of the 12 guardian ninja warriors, whose head was worth 30 million gold, would have died in the dazzling fireworks. At this time, Terra, who was bound by Dedale's exploding centipede, struggled to break free. He looked at Hyojin with surprise and asked vigilantly, "You are Amatsukumi's fire demon?" Hyojin glanced at Terra and deliberately said, "You're welcome." After being reminded by Hyojin, Terra looked embarrassed and hurriedly said, "Thank you for saving me just now, Your Excellency." Out of curiosity about the 30 million gold bounty, Hyojin seriously sized up Terra. In fact, Terra's strength wasn't weak. He had at least the foundation of a Jonin, and coupled with the power of an immortal genius, his overall strength even surpassed some elite Jonins. In the original space-time, when facing the undying duo of the Akatsuki organization, he had the upper hand at the beginning of the fight. However, a monk was still a monk and not a pure ninja. He was more rigid and less adaptable. Moreover, the ability of the undying duo of the Akatsuki organization was indeed too strange. In the end, it wasn't surprising that he died in the hands of the undying duo. Withdrawing his gaze, Hyojin said faintly, "You can leave now. I will deal with this guy." Seeing Hyojin adopt an unapproachable attitude, Terra pondered for a moment and finally chose to compromise. He left Deadael, who had blown up the temple hall, to Hyojin before turning around and leaving the forest to return to the fire temple. "Hey, what did you do to me?" At this time, Deadael's voice reached Hyojin's ears. Kuroto suddenly looked at Deadael, his face full of surprise under the flame mask. He didn't expect Deadael to show signs of getting rid of his Jinjutsu so quickly. Hyojin's eyes turned cold. Originally, the best candidate to deal with Deadael was Itachi or Jishui, who was proficient in Jinjutsu. In the original space-time, Itachi easily subdued Deadael with a glance and left an indelible mental scar on the genius of the Rock Village. But considering that the main purpose of this trip was to collect Deadael's cell tissue, and this matter was related to Hyojin's own top secret, he didn't want to let others handle it if it wasn't necessary. Therefore, he dispelled the idea of letting Itachi or Jishui take action and took action himself. As for using the fire release clone, it was also because he considered that it would be very troublesome to deal with Deadael in a conventional battle. Therefore, he wanted to copy Itachi's method of fighting Deadael. Using the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan on the fire release clone, he can use Jinjutsu to take care of the battle, which is both decent and allows him to extract Deadael's cell tissue. He can even use this to coerce Deadael to join Amatsukumi, or develop Deadael into the second undercover agent of the Akatsuki organization. After all, he still appreciated Deadael. Apart from Deadael's strange hobby of being obsessed with explosions, Deadael's ability wasn't something many ninjas possessed. However, plans can never keep up with changes. The Jinjutsu that Hyojin used without hesitation just now unexpectedly showed signs of being broken by Deadael in just a few minutes. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Hurry up and answer me." Deadael, who was trying to break free from the Jinjutsu, was still shouting. Tisish, seeing that Deadael's head could slightly move, Hyojin lightly spat. The Jinjutsu he used on Deadael was a kind of Sharingan Jinjutsu called Shackling Hang Technique. It was the same Jinjutsu that Itachi used to subdue Orochimaru in the original space-time. The consciousness of the enemy who is hit by the Shackling Hang Technique will fall into the Jinjutsu space, as if a huge iron nail is nailed to the body, completely losing control of the body. According to common sense, this Jinjutsu that is cast with the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan as a medium should be more than enough to deal with Deadael in terms of pure pupil power. However, the power of Jinjutsu does not only depend on the strength of the pupil power. It seems that I really don't have a talent for Jinjutsu. After cursing in his heart, Hyojin took out a kunai from his ninja bag. After studying all types of ninjutsu, Hyojin found that his talent for Jinjutsu and Spacetime Ninjutsu is the worst, and it belongs to the kind of terrible kind. This is also the reason why Hyojin rarely uses Jinjutsu, even if he has the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Of course, ninjas who really have a talent for Jinjutsu are actually only a small group in the ninja community. For example, when he had the Manjikyu Sharingan, Kakashi, like Hyojin, rarely used Jinjutsu. When encountering a strong enemy of the same level, he never used Jinjutsu to deal with the enemy. His use of the Manjikyu Sharingan of Obsidian was more for insight replication and Jinjutsu defense. Even in the Uchiha clan, not everyone is good at Jinjutsu. For example, Sasuke, who is extremely talented, is not very good at Jinjutsu. He belongs to the category of Uchiha, who doesn't use Jinjutsu as much as possible. He is the opposite of his brother Itachi, who uses Jinjutsu to solve problems. He is the type of person who never uses Jinjutsu. Weighing the kunai in his hand, Hyojin suddenly threw it towards Dedale. Schwa! The kunai with a cold glint instantly cut Dedale's shoulder and nailed him to the tree trunk behind him with a piece of flesh and blood. Dedale was suddenly shocked and angry. "Damn, you despicable guy." Glancing at the kunai nailed to the tree trunk, Kuroto's face showed a smile under the mask. The kunai had cut off half of Dedale's shoulder. That small piece of flesh and blood is enough for him to extract Dedale's cell tissue. His main purpose has been achieved. Hyojin, who was relieved, said coldly, "I will now give you a choice. Join our Amatsukami or die." Chapter 587. Looking at Dedale's face that was distorted to the point of madness, Hyojin suddenly had a bad feeling. In the vision of his eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, the chakra on Dedale's body was rapidly expanding like a bomb that was about to explode. The plot shouldn't be like this, right? Hyojin's face darkened, and only such a thought flashed in his mind. Boom, boom, boom. In a split second, in a dazzling white light that seemed to tear open the entire night sky, an explosive sound suddenly exploded. Immediately after, a burst of air waves spread out in all directions, and at the same time, the earth trembled violently as if it was the end of the world. Chiriku, who was on the way back to the fire temple, suddenly turned his head. But before he could react, he was caught off guard, and his whole body was sent flying by the air waves until he hit a big tree. Only then did he manage to stop his body. Climbing up from the ground in embarrassment, he looked at the fire in the distance with a dull expression. What happened? The site of the explosion was the place where he had intercepted the rock-hidden village's traitor Dedale, but he couldn't imagine that a fight between two ninjas could cause such a big movement. This was simply inconceivable to him. At the same time, he was secretly glad that he didn't insist on staying on the battlefield. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. In the messy forest. Cough, cough! Hyojin stood up from the ground, coughing lightly as he removed the golden sisa. At this moment, what entered his eyes were the tiny ashes that were still burning in the air, as well as the flickering flames that were scattered all over the place. Cell tissue. Hyojin hurriedly looked in the direction of the big tree that had nailed the kunai, but there was only a small section of the tree that was still burning. The piece of Dedale's flesh that had been cut off by the kunai had already turned into flying ash in the explosion, and even the kunai, which was forged from fine steel, had melted into a small black lump of iron in the high temperature of the deflagration. Hyojin immediately gnashed his teeth. "Dedale, you bastard! Are you deliberately targeting me?" It had clearly been an illusion suppression. Itachi had only needed a glance and a few words to thoroughly subdue Dedale. But when it came to Hyojin, Dedale had actually self-destructed. Hyojin really couldn't understand why the difference was so big. A normal person like me really can't figure out the thoughts of a madman. After cursing under his breath, Hyojin looked at the forest that was almost flattened by the explosion and slowly frowned. Although the explosion just now was fierce, the scope of the impact seemed to be much smaller than Hyojin imagined, and the power seemed to be a little less. After Hyojin activated Susa, he easily blocked it. Something's wrong. In the distant sky, Dedale, who once again escaped with the help of the clay clone's self-destruction, drilled out of the ground and said, "What's going on? Why am I so unlucky recently, encountering troublesome guys one after another?" Considering that the clay clone's self-destruction might not be able to deal with the 3 people from Akatsuki, Deadale quickly took out a clay bird. Originally, he was quite confident in the power of his clay clone's self-destruction, but the previous battle with Homusubi of Amatsukami gave him a big blow, so he is now a little frightened. Jumping on the clay bird and flying high into the sky, he didn't forget to look around, alert for possible surprise attacks, until he was far away from the area where the previous battle took place. Only then did he breathe a long sigh of relief. TSK, the shinobi world is getting more and more dangerous. It's better to go back to the village and hide. After thinking for a moment, Deadale decided not to continue wandering around, but to immediately return to the rock village. I will find some opponents of the same age for you in a while. I will let you know what a true genius is like. Gaara hurriedly said, "My lord, I won't let you down." Hyojin nodded and didn't say anything else. He walked past the 2 children and entered the laboratory. Walking around the laboratory, looking around at the dazzling array of new equipment and instruments, Kuroda felt a burst of joy from the bottom of his heart. Including the 50 million Ryu from the Danzo trade and the 265 million Ryu that Mai was going to pay, Hyojin had earned more than 300 million Ryu. With such a huge amount of money that an ordinary person wouldn't be able to spend in several lifetimes, Hyojin immediately started spending lavishly. One must know that because of the lack of funds before, most of the instruments in his laboratory are second-hand goods from the black market. Many of them are about to be eliminated or have some missing functions. Now that he has the money, and the name of Amatsukami has also become famous, there are a lot more import channels, so naturally, Kuroda wouldn't mistreat himself anymore. So he immediately upgraded and transformed the laboratory. As the money flowed out like water, brand new and advanced instruments appeared in his laboratory one after another, causing his laboratory to be upgraded by 2 or 3 levels. Today, although his laboratory is not as large as the laboratory in the Danzo root base, the advanced level of the equipment is not inferior to the laboratory in the Danzo root base. At least in the field of biotechnology, his laboratory can be regarded as the most advanced laboratory in the shinobi world. Coming to the cell culture room, Hyojin carried out a preliminary treatment on the piece of Dedale's flesh he just obtained, and then collected a sample of Dedale's cell tissue from it. Using the newly purchased incubator, he began to cultivate the cell's activity. After some research, Hyojin changed the previous process of cell fusion. Instead of directly carrying out the cell fusion experiment, he first cultivated the cell's activity and improved the cell's activity. When the cell's activity is at its peak, he can start the cell fusion experiment. In this way, the success rate of cell fusion can be increased by at least 3%. Don't underestimate this 3% success rate. After hundreds or thousands of experiments, a 3% success rate often means that no matter how serious the conflict between the 2 groups of cells is, there will inevitably be cases of successful fusion. This can not only greatly reduce the cost of money and time for cell fusion, but it can also improve the cell activity after cell fusion, making the clone body have a more perfect physique. And the better the physique of the clone body, the lower the difficulty for Hyojin to develop it. For example, the Type A wind-release clone body that he accidentally obtained that showed signs of atavism almost didn't need him to develop it.